This is an interview with Clara Daniels for the Virginia Holocaust Museum, Richmond, Virginia, December 18th, 2007. We are at the Virginia Holocaust Museum. The interviewer is, I am Inga Horowitz, and the camera work is by Chuck Weitzenhofer. This is actually the second interview here with Clara Daniels. There was a previous interview in 1997. Could you please yourself state your full name?
Clara Daniels.
And how do you, well, we don't have to worry about spelling because we have it written.
Yeah.
Yes, with Daniels with an S on the end.
Yes.
What is your place of birth, please? And please spell that.
Hungary.
Hungary.
Yeah.
And the city where you were born?
Nyírkarász.
Nyírkarász.
You have it there, don't you?
I have it here, yes.
Right.
Shall I spell and you confirm?
Yes.
All right. Nyirkarász.
Right.
Near what other large city that we
Kisvárda.
might... Kisvárda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think most people have heard of Kisvárda.
Yeah. It was the city, you know, all the stores was Jewish before, before Hitler took away everything, you know.
In Kisvárda?
Yeah. And most of the places, because the Christians, those who had 4-year high school education, they felt that was below their standards to work in a store. They liked to work in an office with a white shirt and a suit, you know, everything. Mm-hmm. So most of the stores was Jewish because it was hard work.
What kind of stores were there in Kisvárda?
All kind. They have clothing store, everything. The best restaurants. I still remember when we went there, we went all the time, you know, to eat. You know what, I like to go to eat their hot dogs.
Really?
Yeah, like a Hebrew national, was very good, you know.
And when you were doing all this, you were not yet married, and your maiden name...
I was a child.
Yes.
Yeah. My maiden was Fried.
Fried.
F-R-I-E-D. Yeah.
Yes. And when were you born, Clara?
I was born October 17, 1923.
So now you are 84 years old.
Right.
Your father's name, please?
Morris.
Your mother?
Julia.
And her maiden name?
Pearlstein.
Pearlstein. And you had the rest of the sibship, your brothers. Tell me, please.
I have, my older brother name was Laszlo. We called him Lotzi. And my younger brother was Joseph.
Joseph. And you, what languages do you speak?
There, Hungarian only.
You spoke Hungarian there. Do you still speak Hungarian?
I do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect, but I still do, yeah.
And your other languages, you have, of course, English.
Yeah, I used to, after the war, you know, I was in Germany, I learned a little bit German, you know, but I wasn't good. But when I was in the concentration camp, we speak only German. I used to speak German, you know, I learned. But no, I haven't speaking German since I came here, so I forgot most of them.
Yes. I would like you to begin your story, really, by telling us you lived in Nyírkarász. That was a small city, or?
A small town, a small, you know.
Describe it.
Wasn't a city, you know.
How many people lived
I
around?
have no idea, a few hundred.
Mm-hmm.
A few hundred. But they had there everything. They have the mayor, they have, you know, everything, you know.
They had a mayor?
Oh yeah, police and everything, yeah.
And the larger city, Kisvárda,
Yeah.
do you have any idea how many people?
I don't know how many thousands of people live there.
Did you go to school in your town?
Yeah, I went there, yeah. And high school I went Kisvárda.
Went to high school in Kisvárda.
Yeah.
But elementary school?
We had actually, in our farm, we had a school. It was a very big farm, you know, a few hundred people working there, you know. And I came from other farms too. So I went to school there.
So now tell me about this, your home and where you lived.
Well,
I can't quite picture this small town in Hungary and then this tremendous farm. Estate,
well, that
really.
wasn't in the Nyírkarász, the farm. We have to go a few miles from there. I don't remember how many miles, you know. And the farm almost reached from one town to the other town, Kisvárda, and Nyírkarász and Nyírmada, they called the other, you know. It was a very large farm, you know,
So you lived in a house in the town?
No, we don't live in the town. We have a house, a very big house. It was a house they used to call a castle, you know, because a count used to own that house, a very
count.
Big. And my grandparents bought it from them, you know. And it was beautiful, you know. When you came into the farm, you go up, you don't see the house, but a lot of trees in front of them and a fence, you know, the top of the hill, you know.
This is rubbing a little bit.
Oh, I made a mistake.
No, you didn't make a mistake.
My hand maybe.
Your hand waved.
Yeah, I shouldn't wave, yeah. I'm
no,
sorry.
I want you to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you know, so I used to go up. We don't have a car that time. Very few people have cars in Hungary. They have horse and carriage, you know. And they used to go up there because it was a big walk to go up, you know, between the trees still to the house. And trees all over, you know, like a garden. It's beautiful, you know. They took this picture there in the end of the house while I'm sitting there, you know.
We'll look at those pictures later of
and
the
you
family.
know, it was a very big house. We have maids, you know, everything, and a lot of people.
And who lived in this house when you were growing up?
My grandparents, and we used to have a different place, my father and my mother. But my father was, one night, I don't know if I should tell about this, what happened to my father.
Sure, it's important, yes.
Because what I went through in my life, you know. Went to my grandparents' farm. I think what they call a blacksmith was there, you know, put on the horses. They used to put on horseshoes, you know, or something.
You were visiting your grandparents?
I didn't that time. My father went.
I see.
There, and he went to because they had a blacksmith there, everything in the big farm, you know, everything. And I didn't know till Ava told me that, you know, what happened, because it was so painful I could never talk about it. Till now, you know, what happened to my father. One morning I woke up. I was maybe 8 years old or 7, I don't know, maybe 9. And I see my father laying in the bed, and a big dish in front of him, and the blood gushing out from his mouth, you know. And everything was full of blood. So I find out later, Ava said, the blacksmith, my father said something, and he was drunk or something, and he beat him up his head.
He was beaten up by the blacksmith.
Yeah. Ava said he put it in his mouth too. There was hot iron, you know, something.
Oh. Ava is your cousin in Canada.
Canada, yeah, Ava, yeah. I never asked about it because, you know, I couldn't deal with it till now. And after that, my father was never well, you know. He lived a few years. He was sick, and he died before the concentration camp. But I went through with this thing, you know, and I never forget it, you know. I still see it in my eyes, you know, what happened to him.
So did your mother and you and your brothers stay?
No, after we moved in with my grandfather.
I see.
And they sold that farm, you know.
They sold the farm?
Yeah, my farm, my father's farm.
Your father was also living
a different farm,
on
you know,
a farm.
but not in my. Then we moved in with my grandfather. He had a very big farm, you know.
I see.
And a big house, and we stayed there, you know.
What is the weather like in this part of Hungary?
Well, summer is beautiful. Winter very cold, freezing.
similar to this region in
Not
Virginia?
here. No. It's
Colder.
freezing there. More like Maine.
Really? Mm-hmm.
And I remember when they used to take me, because my uncles, everybody, I tell you, I was very lucky. I was loved by everybody, you know. And they used to dress me up winter when they went for business trips, and they had a fur sack.
A fur
for fur,
sack.
and they put me in there, you know, and they took me with them for business trips, you know, not far away, you know, when they went to near city or something, and it was freezing there. But I used to play outside in the snow too, no matter how cold, just like my son's children, you know, they played. But I went inside in the house, and we had this big other stove. It was built from what they called those shiny, beautiful stones, you know, a big one from top to bottom. And it was heat inside. I forgot what they called it.
Like chinaware, like dishes?
Yeah, and they built it. There was heat inside, you know.
Heat inside.
Yeah, and I used to go in, and I put my back in it to far off after I played there, you know.
Yeah. Were there other children in the around
In the farm?
for you to play with?
They have a lot of children, and there was about 3 Jewish family, because we had a factory there. They made alcohol, you know, from the potatoes and
Oh, really?
wheat, you know, what they grow there, you know. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy who was operating the, you know, and he has 2 children, 2 girls, and one girl is, I feel sorry I don't bring her picture. You know, I have one picture for you. It was my best friend. Her name was Clara too.
Also.
Yeah. And there was also, I said gazdatist, Hungarian, foreman, a Jewish foreman, you know. So was there about 3 Jewish family, and they have children. Mm-hmm. And they have Christians, and I was friend with them, you know. I have the people who was working there, I don't know, maybe 200, I don't know how many people was working there, you know.
And there was a school on the farm?
That's right, because there were so many children, you know. Mm-hmm. And houses, we had buildings for the people who worked there, you know.
Houses
yeah.
for the tenant.
For the peoples, you know, mm-hmm. They don't pay for it because, you know, they got it for, and they get paid for the work, you know, what they did.
And how many classrooms, teachers?
Till 8th grade.
For each grade there was a room?
Yeah.
In the school?
It wasn't that many rooms, I think, but no. But I don't remember how many rooms, but it wasn't that many pictures.
So about how big was the class size?
Well, class sometimes 20, it depends on, you know, I don't remember exactly, maybe 30.
Were you a good student?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was pretty good student.
You liked to read?
That's all we did. We don't have television that time, you know.
No.
So we used to read, and when I was older, they used to, from Budapest, in a library, they used to send us books. We paid for it, you know. Every month, a big box came with all the books, you know. But classical book. We don't read junky books like today, you know. They won't let us to do that, you know. And I read all the classical books, you know, from all the countries, from Russians and everything, for English writers, or everything, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to read a lot. That's what we did. And girls, we used to get together, you know.
Yeah.
Sit down after school. We used to make all kind of handwork, lace and all kind of things, you know, beautiful things.
Who taught you this?
In the school, and my mother knows how to do it too. Yeah, we learned in the school too. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Those were different days.
It was, yeah.
And when you were growing up during the elementary school, you were born in 23, so until you were 10, 1933,
Yeah.
were times, government was good, times were, or tell me about.
At that time, when I went to school, was good, yeah. In Hungary, there was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
With the Christians, we were living like brothers and sisters. There was no problem at all. I don't remember any anti-Semitism, you know.
What was the predominant religion in your area?
It was Christians, Catholic, I think mostly,
Catholic.
and Protestant. Mm-hmm. And there was no other religion in Hungary, only Jewish, Roman Catholic, and Greek Catholic, and Protestant, you know. Mm-hmm. That's all it was. There was no other religion.
Was there a synagogue? Did you attend services?
It was Nyírkarász synagogue we went.
Where in
And they used to have, every week, because we were Orthodox Jews.
Mhm.
And Saturday, we don't do nothing. And the workers didn't do nothing. They don't let them do nothing, Saturday, Sunday, And they used to have a minyan, minyan?
Yes,
In my house, our house.
in your house.
And we don't have enough people, so used to, bochers they used to, it was a bocher? Young Jewish boys who goes to the
Oh,
Jewish school,
who are learning.
Hebrew. And they used to come for the weekend. And
To
stay
your
with-
house.
Yeah, they stayed with us, yeah. So they had enough, people for the minyan, for the, So we used to have it there in the holidays too, yeah. Because we don't travel Saturdays, we don't used to travel.
So your
No.
house was full.
Yeah, that's right. But we had plenty place.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the beginning, we forgot to say that there is a visitor watching, observing this interview. Her name is Lee Whedon, and she is the assistant to the director here at the Holocaust
A
Museum.
sweet girl, right?
Yes, yes,
I love her.
yes. So you were very observant, and where was the synagogue? Did you ever go to a synagogue?
Sometimes we did. Sometimes
Where
we
was
didn't.
the synagogue?
We went to, Nyírmara, I think went, or other city, not Nyírkarász.
Not Kisvárda, but
No, Kisvárda was too far, This was just a few miles, for us, It was, when our farm finished, was almost the city, just a little place between us, and the farm, It was a very big farm,
yes,
Yeah.
obviously.
It was beautiful, with the trees, everything. It was gorgeous.
When for the Jewish holidays, you remember family came?
Yeah. Sometimes my aunt came home, with the child,
Where did they live? Your mother's people?
Well, they live different places. One they call Szerencs,
All in Hungary.
Hungary, all over Hungary. Yeah. They have different places, most of them has farms, but one of them had a business, a shoe business they used to have. My mother's youngest sister, I used to go there too.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a little boy. I was crazy about him. He was the youngest in the family,
Mm-hmm.
And I think about sometimes I break down, I used to lay down with him, telling stories for him, everything. It was beautiful, wonderful. It was a very close family. My mother's sisters kept me just like I was their own child, and the brothers too. I grew up in a family, everybody loved each other,
You
And-
don't remember arguing or no?
No, I don't remember.
When did this idyllic life begin to change? Not the year, maybe, if you remember, that would be fine, but
It's tries to change, I mean, we hear stories,
you began hearing stories?
We were hearing stories, from Austria, what happened, I think it started with Austria because Hitler was born there,
Mm-hmm.
When Hitler became to power, people came back from there, and they was telling Hitler, they threw people in the windows, the Jewish people, from 3-4 flight up, they killed them, and all kind of terrible things we hear, what they were doing. We hear all these things, and they start to talk about it, all the other European countries, we hear something, and then they start to take, I forgot which year, the Hungarians too, We used to listen to the Hungarian radio didn't talk about it because it was Hitler's friend, Hungary.
Hungary was a friend
Yeah.
of Hitler, I
So,
know.
but we used to try to listen on the radio. We don't have television, and the English radio and the American radio they used to, broadcast the news and tell us what happened,
So you heard BBC?
But you know what happened? They was jamming at the Hungarians. They don't want us to hear. So we just hear sometimes a word or two, and we were living on that. You know, something was happening, you know, and sometimes people came back from there, you know, and they was telling us what happened. They came back for the Ukraine, you know, somebody, Hungarians who was taken there, some sneak back. They was telling that the German was killing Jews. They used to make big holes in the ground, and they was let them stand there by the big hole, you know, and they shoot them and they buried them alive. They were telling us, you know, everything, all these things.
You heard these.
We hear these things.
And Ukrainian Jews are being taken away?
Or they was killing them too. Yeah.
Did you know anyone who disappeared?
Well, the Ukrainian, I don't know any Ukrainians, you know.
No,
But then they start to take away Hungarians too. They took the Ukraine and everything, you know.
did you know people who were taken
I know,
away?
I know.
Relatives?
That wasn't relative to Ukraine. But,
No.
but maybe, because they took my brother earlier.
They took your
Earlier
old-
than us, because he was older, the older brother, you know.
Laszlo.
They took, and I remember when they took him to like a camp or something there in Hungary, and he asked me if I want to go with him, my uncle. And I couldn't go with him. No, I feel sorry I didn't go with him, because I couldn't deal with it, you know, to say goodbye there someplace to him. So I say goodbye at home, you know, to him. I never saw him again, you know. But I hear that he was killed. Somebody came back, you know, who was with him. And he said they shot him. He didn't die for illness or something. They killed him, you know, shot him, the German. And then
So that was the first
the
family
first one for the family,
member.
that was who taken the concentration camp. Yeah.
Was it a concentration?
But they took him to a camp.
To some kind of camp.
Because they took him out from Hungary. So the
So he was
the
among those who
yeah.
was taken
He was
away.
the first one, my brother. And then,
Do you know when that was? How old he was?
well, it was about maybe a year before they took us, maybe less than a year they took him, you know.
So that you were taken away in 1944.
44. In April. And then,
So
you know that before, the Hungarians was taking away the property. They cut up a few hundred acres now, and again, not the same time, you know, they took away from us. So they left us only 100 acres, you know. They took away everything.
But you were still living in the house.
We were living
But
in the
they
house till
took-
we came. But they took us, you know. And then they took us. But we hear all the time, you know, what happening, everything, you know. And
So-
then they was in Hungary, all kind of laws against the Jews, you know. You couldn't go here, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, you know. You couldn't go to school, you know, high school, everything, you know, anything Jewish children, nothing, you know.
You were in high school at that time?
I finished.
Wait, you went to Kisvárda to high school?
Right. But I finished by that time, you know.
You had finished. How old were you when you finished high school?
I was, well, we start, you know, I think was 6 and 8 year. About, I forgot. We start school 6th year, right, 1st grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 year, I think 4 year school, and then high school 4 years, you know, so must have been 12-year-old or 14, I don't remember.
14 years old?
About 14, I think was, yeah.
So maybe 1935?
Yeah,
you
something
finished?
like that. You know, I forget things
Yeah.
for so long.
But you did finish high school
I
in
finished.
Kisvárda.
I think
And what did you do after high school?
I was home. We don't work in Hungary, you know. You was a rich girl. You don't go to work. I was home. I helped out in the house or something, you know. And was Hitler time already. And I tell you what. Then they start to take away my uncle. They took them before us, my uncle. The other uncle, one uncle.
Mother's brother?
Brother, who they were taking care of the farm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took away the other uncle, you know. And I was taking care of the books, helped the farm, take care of the workers and everything, because they took them away. There was nobody there to take care of it,
So these two uncles,
Yeah,
what were their names?
Jenny and Ernő. You have the names there.
Ernie,
Ernie and Jenny, Eugene or Jenny, we called him, And they took them away,
and you
to the
didn't
camp.
never see them again?
I saw one of them, stayed in Kisvárda. I used to see him when we were in the ghetto too, Ernő,
Yeah.
the younger one. And then they took away everything practically. So we lived in a farm. We couldn't travel anymore, because you couldn't go any place, Jewish people, Just to the village we were able to go, And then 1944,
Well, let's not get there yet.
Right.
I know that's when it really, during this build-up time, when restrictions went in, did your grandfather,
he was dead. They died before the concentration.
he died in
Just before.
1941.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He died, and my grandmother. I was, something? When I was in Auschwitz, and we was near to the, was this barbed wiring and electricity inside.
Yes.
And a girl went near to it and sucked her in, and she died. I saw it. And I put my hand together. I thank God they died at home, my grandparents. They don't have to go there.
They didn't have to go through
Yeah.
that. They both died. Your grandfather died 1941.
And my grandmother died before.
Even before. So, remaining on the farm, your father was dead, was your mother,
Right.
and these uncles.
And family was living by that time there too, because they got out from the place they were, But they sold their place, They had a farm too, they sold it. They moved in there too,
They moved in with
It's
you.
not the same house, they had another house. They were living there. They were there too, so we went together to the concentration camp.
Ava is your cousin.
Yeah, Ava, yeah. And her sister, Susan, and her
Okay.
father was there, and her mother.
And during this time, was there ever talk about trying to leave, to get out?
There was no place to go. You see, Hungary was surrendered by the Germans. It took over the whole Europe, German by that time, There was no place to go. You couldn't go any place,
Did you have relatives anywhere else in the world?
Well, I had my father had a cousin in America, She sent me papers.
Your father had a cousin in America.
She sent me papers to come
At the
here.
end, yes.
Yeah, when I came here. But they had family, cousins or everything, and my father has cousins, everything. They all been.
Was there any correspondence with these cousins in America?
We used to write, to each other. Sure. Yeah.
But you don't remember talk about trying to
Nobody said.
leave?
We don't. No, we don't. We couldn't, because I remember my aunt when she used to live in Szerencs, my mother's younger sister, and she came home once to visit, and she was crying. She saw they was bringing. She has to change train. She came by train, and in Nyírkarász she has to change train, and she saw the train coming from Italy. This like the train like they took us, this like they transferred the animals, and
She saw this. She
she
saw
saw,
a
and the
cattle
windows
car.
was closed up with barbed wire, and she saw them, and she know what happened,
Let
and-
me just please rearrange this for just a minute. We got okay.
And she came home. She was crying. She said, "Let's run away from here." She said,
Yes.
because she saw what happened. She said, "These people they taking. I know already where they taking them.
Yes.
The concentration camp. But there was we couldn't run away in Hungary.
No way to.
No.
couldn't. So who was this aunt? Where was she coming from?
Szerencs,
Szerencs. What
they
is-
call it. There was the chocolate factory. It was a famous place. They made all the chocolate in Hungary there.
Oh, that was also in Hungary.
Yeah, oh yeah. They all lived in Hungary.
Mm-hmm. So, when did the occupation begin? When did the Nazis
The
come?
Nazis, I think about 1940, maybe 1942 or something. I'm not exactly sure. They came. And at first, you know, we hear that they took people off on the street, you know, everything, you know. And they never saw them again, everything, you know. Then they start to take people, you know. But they don't tell nothing about the Hungarians, you know. You don't hear in the radio nothing. This was a secret, you know, because they don't want people maybe try to run away or something, you know. So they start to come in, and they was taking people all over, disappeared people, you know, already, everything. And from Budapest and everything. And
was there resistance or sabotage that you
Nothing.
were aware of?
Nothing, because, you know, the people didn't really know what will happen, you know. They thought somebody said in Hungary can't happen this, you know. That's what, because it was such a good relationship. This was just like, we don't know nothing about they're gonna take us, you know. Like when they came for us, we didn't know nothing. It was after Passover, just finished. You know, we used to have a kosher house, and we have Passover different dishes, you know, Passover dishes. And we was trying, we don't even put away the dishes, we changed back to the other dishes. But they was going to take me to the dressmaker, you know, we used to go to the dressmaker. And I was ready to go, and I was sitting in the horse and carriage, you know, to go. Everything dressed up, everything, and then the police came.
Police in uniform of police?
Police, the Hungarian police.
Hungarian police, okay.
And he said, pack a suitcase. Pack a suitcase, he said, because you have to go. So a small suitcase, they were standing there waiting, watching us, you know. We couldn't take no jewelry, nothing, you know.
They watched what you put in the suitcase?
And you know, but they buried some jewelry, my family, because they was afraid we hear all the things happening, taking jewelry, said, in the basement, we had a basement, you know. It was burying them. But whatever we took, they took away the German
when you arrived.
Right, what we were wearing, you know. And they was waiting there, watching us to pack a few things, you know. A little suitcase.
How many men, how many policemen, do you remember? A lot? Or?
Not a lot, because they don't need it a lot, just our family, you know.
Did they have guns?
Yeah, rifles. The Hungarian police has rifles.
So who was arrested with you at that time?
Well, I was there.
Or whatever you call that.
My younger brother was there, you know, my mother, and my cousin Eva, and her mother and father, and 2 children.
Susan.
Because she has 3 children. They had
3 children.
A sister and a brother, has a little brother, yeah.
So Eva and Susan and the little brother.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. And they took the other Jewish families also from, you know, who was there.
So about how many people were?
Oh, they have their other family has 2 daughters and father and the mother, you know. They was working in the factory, he was operating the factory, the schnapps factory, alcohol factory, yeah. And there was what they call I was going to say, a foreman. And he also has about 2 daughters, and the mother, a man and the wife, you know. That's all was the Jewish families, yeah. It took us, all of us.
So when you say they took you, in what? What did?
They took us to Kisvárda.
In what? Horse and buggy?
Yeah,
Your own horse
Yeah,
and
that's
buggy?
right. They took us with that, yeah. And the police came with us, with their own. And we went to Kisvárda, and they took us to was an old place, a synagogue, but not a nice synagogue. They had beautiful synagogues there. An old building, they used to use it for putting packages or something,
Mm-hmm.
And the floor was straw. There was no beds, no windows on it, nothing. Like a place where you put packages or something, put in.
Like a
stuff.
warehouse?
A warehouse. They took us. And there was no beds there, nothing, And they put on some blankets, and we slept on. There was no chair to sit on, nothing.
All of a sudden, you were taken there.
We were taken there.
Were you under guard?
Oh, all the time. There was locked up, was fences on it,
Fences around it?
Right, and guards, yeah. At first was Hungarian guard, and they came Germans too, German guards, A Hungarian policeman told me once, he know me, from home.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Miss, they called us Miss, they don't call you Clara. Miss.
Miss.
Hungarian different, kisasszony, they call her Miss. He said, I let you go run away, he told me. But I don't want to run away from my family, And I was with my friend there, she heard that she was telling to her father, and her father said, Clara, go and take my Dora with you. But I don't want to leave my family there, I couldn't live with that, even if I don't know how would I don't have papers, nothing, they would catch me anyway. But even if I would be, I couldn't live with it, that I left them there. I would think, if I survived like I did, I would think, that I could have helped them, I couldn't live with that. So I stayed with them,
You were then 21 years old?
Yeah.
I think so. Because this was before your birthday. You were 20 years old.
20-year-old, because my birthday is October, yeah, 20.
Right.
Because this was April.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousins was younger, both of them. Eva was, I think, about maybe 16, and the sister was maybe 15, maybe 14 and a half something, and another cousin was with us. My mother's other sister's Dora, and she was also about maybe 15-year-old or 14 and a half, I don't remember. And
these were the cousins who were with you later in
right.
camp.
And I lied. I told them they were older, because otherwise they would kill them, And because I find out, I asked, what's good to say in Auschwitz already. But they was, sort of chubby girls, and they looked a little bit older.
They were really like 14.
Looked, they don't, it was dark too anyway, Auschwitz, they don't know when they separated us, And so they took us to the ghetto, they call it a ghetto. And we were locked in, we couldn't go out from there,
How many people were in this warehouse on?
I don't know exactly how many, maybe 200-300, I don't know, maybe more, I don't know.
They came from other places.
From the Kisvárda, too, because the
Did
ghetto
you
was
know
Kisvárda.
them all, or
I don't know all of them, but I know many of
Mm-hmm.
them. I know many of them, not all of them.
They were all Jews?
All Jews. The Christians they don't put there, no.
Mm-hmm.
Just Jews. And we were there.
And you arrived with your suitcase.
Yeah, a little suitcase,
And what did you have in it?
A few panties, bra, and not much because they don't let you take a big suit.
And the weather was warm then, right?
It was April. Wasn't warm, no.
No.
Because Hungary was cold. And a jacket, must be a warm jacket, and
Do you remember being cold?
freezing. We were freezing, and a pair of shoes, just one pair of shoes, what wear, and I think a nightgown I put in, I think, and although
What
you
were
don't
the
need,
bathrooms?
although you don't need it, why? Because it was so cold, you were sleeping in your clothes.
Yeah.
It was freezing. There was no heat, there.
Was there bathroom facility?
Outside was something, you know,
Like,
something where we went, you know, not inside, you know. There was no bathroom.
what about cooking facilities?
No, we don't cook. They give us some junky food, you know, some junk they bring in.
They brought in.
Yeah, something. It was horrible, you know, something, you know. You got nauseous when you eat it, but when you're dying for hunger, you eat whatever they give you.
You were hungry.
Oh, sure. We couldn't take food with us, you know.
Did you
anything.
have dishes? Anything?
No, nothing.
Bowl?
We had nothing.
What did you eat out of?
They give us something, bring some plates, you know, and bring some food. Yeah.
Do you know what happened to the furniture and what was left in the house?
Well, only one thing, I know when we went, I don't know, they took it, everything. When we, you know, after the war, after the liberation, we stayed a few months in Hungary. I mean, there in Germany, you couldn't go any place. First of all, it was such a condition, you know. Everybody was bone and skin.
Yeah.
And sick, everybody. And we couldn't go any place, so we stayed there. The Americans had a place for us, you know. They feed us everything. When I went back, the house, the windows was broken. There was no furniture, nothing inside, you know. Nothing, you know. Everything was ruined.
Did you have artwork? Did your family?
They took everything. Yeah, we had. They took everything, you know. Everything they took.
What kind of life were you then able to, what was happening in this warehouse?
This warehouse, we had nothing. We just laying down, or we went out a little bit walking around inside, you know. There was nothing else there, you know.
Did you know what would happen next?
No. We didn't know. They don't tell us nothing.
Did anyone try to escape?
Not as I know, no. They couldn't. And then the Germans came and was surrendered the camp, you know.
After the Hungarians,
Yeah.
the Germans got.
The German took over, yeah. So you couldn't escape, you know. If you try, they shoot you, they kill you, you know. You know that, you know. So we were there ghetto about, I don't know, 8 weeks or longer, maybe 3 months. I don't. This was April and I think June. I think it was June.
What happened in June?
Then one day they came.
Wait, let me just ask. The same people who went into the ghetto
Yeah.
at the beginning in April around Passover
Yeah.
remained.
Then the ghetto.
Did they begin taking people out before
Not
you
before.
were taken out?
No,
Okay.
no. My uncle sometimes came to visit us. They let them in. Because he was there a camp, you know, there.
He was in another camp?
Yeah.
He was
but
the
they-
one you
yeah,
sometimes,
but
Eugene.
wasn't, yeah, he could come. No, Erno.
Erno.
Yeah, and he came. Once or twice we saw him, you know, after when we was in the camp.
And what did he tell you? What?
He said they're taking away the people and they're gonna take them too. And they take him too. They took him to a concentration camp, you know, away. I don't know exactly when.
What was he doing? Was this a labor?
They was working there, yeah.
Uh-huh.
They made them work, yeah. We was cleaning there, there when we was there, you know, in this place, in the
Yes.
ghetto. Sometimes we went out, they made us sweep the floors outside, you know, cleaning was something, you know.
The street?
Not the street, they don't let us inside, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't let us out. And then, that's all was. You sleeping, you know, if you could sleep, and nothing. We are talking to each other, you know, we try to keep our sanity.
Did
you know.
people get sick?
They got sick, and I forgot, I was helping out there. There was a room where they took the sick people, you know, inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping the sick one, you know, I was taking care of them. You know, in the bed was laying, cleaning them and feeding them and everything, yeah.
Older people?
All the, you know, whoever got sick, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then after they took them, and we never saw them again, you know. They killed them.
They took them out of the ghetto?
After they did, yeah. They don't took them with us, you know, when we went.
They didn't take them when
No,
with
no.
you?
No, they don't took them.
They left them behind?
No, they took them out before.
Before.
They disappeared. We never saw them again, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't hear what happened to them?
Well, they killed them, we know that, because they killed everybody. They don't let them, the sick people alive, you know.
Yeah.
We hear that, yeah.
Were there any efforts from your non-Jewish people?
Nothing.
You didn't
Nobody.
know of anything?
Of course, they couldn't do anything if they want to either,
No.
because then they would be in trouble too.
Were there any acts of kindness from the guards? No, or you don't remember?
No. Nobody tried to help, no.
So was everyone transported out of the ghetto at the same time?
Yeah.
Those who were left?
Yeah.
And this, you said, was in June?
I think it was June, yeah. I don't
I
remember exactly what date. Ava told me, but I forgot to write down, yeah.
And so how you walked out of the ghetto and you were taken to what?
We walked out and they took us, there was some trucks, you know.
Trucks. Oh, like
That you transport furniture, whatever you transport, you know, trucks.
like closed trucks or open? Open trucks.
Open. But they took us to the trains, you know.
And the trucks took you to
The train.
where?
To the train,
Where was the train?
Kisvárda.
To a station?
To a station, train station.
Mm-hmm.
And the German took us over, not the Hungarians. So the German was the guard.
And there was a train?
Yeah, when we walked on the train, you know, it wasn't train like transport people. This train was like to transport packages or whatever you do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There was no
freight.
There was no seat on it, nothing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Was
Nothing.
a freight?
A train, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they have those little windows, you know, and they was closed up with barbed wire, you know, these little windows, not like, and there was no seats in it. Mm-hmm. We have to stand up all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No toilet. They have some dish there, you know. The German standing by, because the German was on the train too.
For eliminating something.
So you have to go to the bathroom. People see you when you go to the a dish, you know, something. And we couldn't sit down. It's like a herring. We was packed like that, you know. They put in so many people, you know, to the train, you know. We were standing up, laying on each other.
Were you with your family?
Yeah.
You all together?
Right. I don't know how we survived even the trip, you know. And that lasted, Ava said lasted about 2 or 3 days, I don't remember exactly. Seems to me lasted at least for a week, you know, because it was, when you're standing up, you know, and you don't sleep nothing, you know, and practically you don't eat hardly anything, you know. So it seems longer.
Did the train ever stop?
Sometimes stopped for a few minutes, but we don't get out. We couldn't get out. The Germans got out or something, yeah.
Did anyone die on this trip that you know?
Not as I know.
No.
Maybe died, I don't remember.
Did
that.
you have water, food?
Food? They give us something, but you couldn't even eat because we were standing up, you know. They give something and a little water they give you. That they give you some. I don't know how often they give the water, not all the time, you know, everything.
What were you thinking? Do you remember?
You can't think.
You can't think.
I was in the gaze because we don't expect that this, you know, we thought we'll stay there because Hitler was, you know, Hungary was the friend, you know. It was all kind of restrictions and they took away everything, but we thought maybe we'll stay there, you know. We didn't know because it was secret, you know. This was such a secret. We hear something, they took people someplace else, you know, everything. Mm-hmm. And we thought we was such a good relationship, everything, you don't think. And then suddenly they take you, you know. You can't even think clearly, you know.
Yeah.
You can't even think.
So, looking ahead, let's see. You arrived first at Auschwitz.
In the evening.
In the evening. But before we go there, after that you were taken out of Auschwitz to, what was the next camp? I just want to get it in order.
Oh, do you want to hear when we
I
went
want to
Auschwitz?
hear about
Yeah.
Auschwitz.
But the next camp we went to near to, let me see.
Was Dachau?
It was a Dachau concentration camp, but near Landsberg was but was Dachau concentration. They had assigned Dachau concentration camp. Yeah.
So Landsberg was
The city nearby.
a
And
sub-camp of... or
yeah, that was Dachau concentration camp. Belonged to Dachau.
And after that?
After that, well, we went there different camps, you know.
Yeah.
I was there first a number 4 camp.
Number 4?
Yeah, and number 1 after, and number 11. Different
Number
camps.
11.
Yeah.
All
took us-
Dachau.
It was different places, you know, but belonged, yeah.
And you were finally liberated. You were in Allach.
Allah.
Was that also a Dachau camp?
That was near to Dachau.
Dachau.
Yeah,
The same.
yeah. They all belonged there. That was the camp, you know, we were waiting there to die. They were keeping there. We walked there actually, a lot of walking, you know, because a few days we were walking, you know. You hear about these dead walks, you know?
The Death March.
Yeah, and we walked there, and we got there, and we were staying there. They was near to Dachau. Dachau, they were killing the people. We were waiting to be killed. There was people, they said, like mountains killed. They don't have time to burn them in the crematoriums, you know. So we were waiting there to have place for us, you know.
You were in Allach waiting
Yeah,
to be marched back to
Dachau.
Dachau.
It wasn't far, you know, it was near.
Now let's go back to when the train stopped at Auschwitz. It was nighttime?
It was in the evening. And, you know, you could hardly see. And I was like you dreaming, you know, like in a gaze, you know, you can't even think clearly. So tired, everything. And they have this, I forgot to tell you, when we went on the train, there was a German soldier, has a stick, a rifle, and hit everybody. He was beating everybody, every person, you know, when was getting on the train. And when we arrived to Dachau, that was Dachau, and the concentration camp, you know, we got out from the train. They don't have steps, you know, to go down. They give you a piece of wood, straight wood, and they push down here, you know, you're down. You have to walk down, nothing to hold on, nothing, you know. You can break your neck. And we got out, it was dark, you know, already. And the weather was always there, it wasn't clear, you know, like muggy. And you smell like a flesh burning, you know. The smoke coming out from we saw the smoke, you know, coming out from the crematoriums, you know. And a truck went by, and some of the people who came with us was on, or they packed them, you know, in the trucks. And he said, "My children, they took us to die," he said.
Who said
It was a doctor, I know him, you know. He was yelling to us, you know, they were taking them already away, you know.
He was on a truck.
And he knows already.
Don't play.
Yeah, he know already, you know, that where he's going, you know, he know it. He said, "My children, they taking us to be killed," you know, he said.
Were you on the truck with him?
No, we just got out from the train, you know.
You were getting off the train,
Yeah,
and this truck passed.
They took him already, yeah.
And you recognized him.
Yeah, his voice, they were standing, you know, and he said, "They're taking us to be die," he said. So we hear that. And we smelled, but we didn't know what it was. We smelled the smoke, you know. You smelled, you know, maybe they have no more modern crematoriums, you know, they're burning people. But that time you smell the flesh burning, you know, when you know, everything, we smell it, you know. Yes. But we were so tired, we couldn't even think to be scared, you know, nothing. We just got up and we just looked at the family, they separated us there, you know. Well, Eva and Eva's sister and my cousin, we were together. We always hold each other's hand, you know.
You held hands.
we separated from my mother, my younger brother, and my younger brother wanted to run after us. The German held a rifle on him. I was yelling at go back. I was afraid they're going to kill him, you know. Never saw him again, you know. And Ava's father was and mother, they all took them, you know. My mother, everybody, they took them because they was too old for them. They wasn't old. They was their 40s. But I was too old for them, you know. And the young children was too young, you know. They took them. Ava's little brother.
Too old and too young to do work.
Right. So they took them right away to the crematorium. They gassed them and they killed them, you know. And the sad thing, because somebody told me after, who was working in the crematorium, a Jew who survived, he said sometimes they wasn't even dead when they throw them in, you know, to burn them, you know. So, and then they came, we were there, they took away, to take away our clothes, everything, the suitcase, everything they took off on us, you know. And they took away our clothes, what we wear. We took a shower. They cut off our hair. We were bald, you know. They cut off, you know, the hair, and we took a shower, and they gave us some clothes, some junky clothes there, you know.
Your shoes?
They took that too. They gave us some junkies.
Other shoes?
Yeah. They took everything what we have. You know, whatever we have, we took with us. So we have nothing.
Did you really get a shower? Were you clean?
It was a shower there, you know, washed ourselves up, you know, and that's it. And they give some old junky clothes. It was freezing there, cold, and we don't got a good coat, nothing, just some junk, you know, things, but nobody can use anymore. And then they took us out. We were standing there for hours, a whole night practically, you know, with all this thing went on. And in the morning, they took us to a camp, a concentration camp, you know.
So you stayed that night really at the railroad?
Standing there, you know.
And you watched the
people coming and
selecting?
Going. Yeah.
Were other trains coming in?
Yeah, sure. And then they took us to the concentration camp, and then they have, you know, what was there, what kind of barracks, whatever you call it, you know.
What? Barracks.
Barracks, you know, and the beds there was, you know, there was no bed. They was like, what they call, top of each other, you know, they.
Like bunks.
Bunks inside, but was so little space between it. I have to bend down, I'm short, you know, not to bang my head in it, you know. And there was straw and a little blanket, that's all. And that was our home there.
That was your home.
Yeah.
This was Auschwitz. Did you see the gas chambers?
Yeah, we went there, nearby, we worked there. We cleaned the street there, you know, I was working there, yeah.
What work? You cleaned the street?
I don't go in there, you know. If I would go in, I would be dead, you know. But we saw, yeah.
You knew what was going on?
Oh, yeah, we know it. We know definitely. By that time, we know, you know, everything. So we know we're not supposed to say nothing or nothing, you know. And I asked, because Ava was younger, we're supposed to be 18-year-old, you know. If you're younger, they took you to be killed, you know. But they don't know. When we got out from the train in Auschwitz, when we arrived, you know, they don't ask the age. They just separated us. They looked at you know, they thought, you know, first was here. You go here, to the right, to the left. Who went to the left, they went to die, you know.
Were there dogs? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember dogs.
Just men with all rifles. Men, or were there women too?
Men.
Guards.
Men. And then when we went there, you know, there was no toilet there either when we went to the camp, you know.
In the barracks?
The barracks, you know, there was no toilet. There has a building, there has a big hole inside, you know, in the ground, and you have to stand by and
stand over it.
You can fall down, you know, and everything. And everybody went to see each other, you know, it's terrible. And
were you only women in the barracks? Your barracks?
Yeah, The men was separate.
The men were separate.
Yeah. Men was separate, yeah.
Were they all Jews, or did you know?
This was all Jews there. But there was other camp where you have Christians too, you know. Some even Italians someplace, you know, there was. But I think they treated the Jews worst, you know.
So did your shoes fit you in any way?
Of course not.
Were you...
They give us wooden shoes.
Oh.
And it was all shoes, not new shoes. I remember once when we were working, later they took us out from the camp to go to work, you know, every day. It was freezing and my shoes fell off of my feet. It was broken. And I was walking in the ice and my feet didn't freeze. I can't understand that, you know. Didn't freeze. Everything was all junky stuff what we wear, you know. They don't give nothing good, you know. All jacket.
Did you ever work, you worked cleaning streets?
Yeah. Most of the time we worked outside. I worked then in a place where they was, you know, we were packing the bullet, you know what's a bullets, what they put in the gun? What they call that?
The
Ammunition.
gunpowder?
Ammunition and everything like that. We were packing at one place, you know. And I worked there, and we packed them in boxes, you know, everything. We went there, they took us out in the morning, you know, later, you know. That was after when we left Auschwitz, you know. That's not in Auschwitz.
Oh, this was not in Auschwitz?
No, Auschwitz, no. Auschwitz, I just helped to clean outside, you know. Everything. That was when we left Auschwitz. They took us from Auschwitz, you know.
Yeah.
After maybe 2 or 3 months, I forgot how long it was, you know, Auschwitz. Near to Landsberg, Dachau concentration camp, you know, that was.
Well, before we leave Auschwitz, what skills helped you deal with this? What did you...
Nothing. I don't know when I think about now, you know. I don't know how we, first of all, how we survived even one day.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how we didn't lost our sanity. Some people did, you know.
Yes.
I mean, it's hurt us, it's, you know, I don't say it didn't hurt, you know, the mind too. But how we were able to get up, you know, in the morning and go and do everything. When you get up in the morning.
Yeah, what was the daily routine?
The daily routine was, early in the morning they whistle, you know, you hear the German whistle, you hear a whistle. Then you run out right away, you know, from the place where we were sleeping, you know.
And you had been sleeping, I picture, with your cousins.
We were sleeping, but you know, when we left Auschwitz, it wasn't like barracks when we were sleeping in Germany. They was under the ground, they made holes in the camp when we went.
In the next camp?
Next camp. They make holes under the dirt. And they just covered it up. And under dirt they put on some straw and a blanket. That's all we had. That
in
was
the ground?
Under the ground we have to go down. In the dirt. They made a
hole in the ground?
In the ground. They made
How deep?
Well, it was deep enough. I think I don't know if I was able to stand up, I think, or something, I don't know. Because we were sleeping there, you know. And they put on the dirt, you know, some straw and some blanket. No heat. And in Germany it was freezing, you know.
And this was then later in the fall?
It's freezing, you know, there, everything. I don't know how we survived, you know, just nothing. A little lousy blanket or something. We were holding on each other, you know. And that was our home there, you know. Toilet wasn't in, we had to go out, you know. And also not that kind of toilet we have here, you know.
Yeah.
It was a little building, I call it, just a few pieces of wood was knocked together. It wasn't no door on it in the toilet at all. When we was
You're describing now this Dachau situation near Landsberg.
There was no door on it. There was a sink to wash your hand, and it's freezing, was ice on it, everything, you know. And the toilet was there, you know. Not the modern toilet like you have here, you know, you can push it down. Yeah. And no toilet paper. I think we used, I don't know what we used.
Did you continue menstruating?
No, stopped. That was good. As soon we got there, after we stopped, maybe they give us something, I don't know. I forgot about it.
I read this, yeah.
And that was a blessing, you know.
Oh, yes.
No, we never had any more. Actually, you know, after the concentration camp, took almost 2 years till I had a first.
Yeah.
I couldn't, yeah.
So, back to Auschwitz, if you can separate this. In the morning you woke up in the barracks to a whistle. And had you been given numbers? Did you have a tattoo?
Oh yeah, we have numbers, yeah. They put on.
Number.
You know, they used to put on before us. My husband had on his arm.
Yeah.
But luckily, we don't got it. You know, I don't know why. The thought for me, they put me on numbers, was killing me. I should be all my life, you know, have it there to marked. No, maybe I don't think it was. I couldn't deal with it, no, but I couldn't deal that time. But they don't give us. They put on here, you know.
There was something sewn on your garment
they put
with
on,
a
yeah,
number.
Here, yeah.
So, in the morning when you woke up,
when they blew the whistle, we have to go out, and they called sail appel.
What did the appel?
Appel, sail appel they called. And we have to stay there for hours in the freezing weather, raining, snowing, doesn't matter, you know, outside. And people, then they selected people sometimes. When they thought was too sick or something, or they don't like it, you went to the left.
At the appel, they did selections.
And they took them right away to be killed. That, we know they went to be killed, you know. They took
How
them.
did you know?
Be here, you know. Never came back, you know.
Never came back.
And we know it. There wasn't a secret, you know, the German. And the German soldier was watching us, and we were standing there for hours, you know. Then they took us to work, you know, and they give us something to eat, you know. And then we walked to work.
Was everything under guard?
Under guard, everything. You never were by yourself, you know, never. In the front of the camp was guard. And sometimes when you went out or came in, if he doesn't like you, he beat you, you know, the stick, you know, something, you know.
Were you ever beaten in Auschwitz?
Yeah, my arm was, yeah.
Yes.
When was coming in, I don't know, he don't like the way I walked or something, you know. Although we all had to walk like a soldiers, you know, and with that lousy shoes and everything, you know.
Yeah.
You can bend down or something, nothing, you know. And then we left. There was a guard there when we came, sitting there, you know, in the camp. And the guards took us to work, walking all over. And it was freezing. I was working once with my cousins too. They were building a factory, you know, and I was the cement with this thing what you push, what they call that thing?
Wheelbarrow?
Wheelbarrow. I was pushing it, and can you imagine, I have strength for it. And my cousin came with it, and they were younger than me. I had more, you know, and we have to push that to bring the cement, you know, they were working there, you know, to the working people, you know, everything. And in the evening we have to walk back, you know.
Were there ever women guarding you?
No.
It was always men.
Men.
Did you ever see the male prisoners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working. They were working. We
with
worked
them.
together, yeah. We worked together.
Was there ever communication between?
Not much. Sometimes, yeah, not much, because you couldn't talk there when they were, you know, the German watching you, you know, you couldn't talk. But we saw sometimes, you know, it was different between us, you know, was like a barbed wire, you know, you can look
between
through.
the men and women.
Yeah, that's right. The
barracks.
barracks, you know, everything. And sometimes we saw one of the place emptied up. Nobody came back anymore from work, you know. You know, they were not. In the morning we don't see nobody there. In the evening we saw people was there, you know.
You mean an empty barrack?
Empty. empty a whole thing, barracks there, you know, the whole place, you know, because just the barbed wire was separating us from one, you know. And they said that they were killed. All of them went to the crematorium. They told us, you know, they took them, you know. We never saw them again, you know.
Did anyone steal food? Did you ever see stealing? Did you steal?
You couldn't steal. We don't have their food.
No,
They just give it
you
to you a
didn't
little
have
bit more.
access.
No, we don't know. We couldn't steal.
Did you have a bowl? How did you get your food?
In a little bowl or something. Once I was working in a place. That was the best place to work. I wasn't working with my cousins then. They selected me to go to cleaning the German soldiers' barracks, you know. I think that was the last job or something. And there was food, you know. And I steal some food. If they would catch me, I took home to my cousins, you know. I put it under my coat, you know.
What was it? Do you remember what it was?
Bread, and, you know, but bread was like, you know, if you have a piece of bread, you know, because the bread too, what they give us most of the time, you don't understand, was green, was rotten bread, you know, and we eat it.
Stale and rotten.
Yeah, that's what they give us, you know. And my cousin once walking nearby the kitchen, you know, and some sauerkraut. They don't give us this for a German soldier, they give the sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut.
Yeah, fell down in the dirt and she picked it up and was eating it. And I was telling her, but you shouldn't pick it up because I was afraid the Germans see it. Maybe they can kill you for that, you know, or something. But then they took us in the morning, we was cleaning there a whole day, and they took us back, and I steal some food for them. But I was scared like a hell, you know.
I'm sure.
Because they can maybe look at you, you know, or something.
And if
you know.
they miss the food.
Well, I don't know if they missed it or not, but, you know, because I don't took so much, but I took a piece of bread for everything or something. I don't remember what was there. I couldn't take anything else because I have to put it under my jacket, you know, in my pocket or something, you know. But I was scared. If they catch me, you know, you never know, you know.
Did they sometimes inspect prisoners for?
But they took a few clothes, you know, many times, you know. And one night, when we was after supper, you know, we was in our barracks, they blew the whistle. When they blew the whistle, you know, you have to get out, you know. And they have lice there, I forgot to tell you. We was killing the lices like that, you know. With your skin, you know, the feet was swollen up, you know, because you know food, you know, to eat everything. And one evening they blew the whistle, and we have to go out right away, you know, and sail up hell. They call you have to stand up, you know, all the time.
Yeah,
rows.
in rows.
And there was 3 people. They were hanging 3 people. We have to watch it. You know why?
Why?
They steal a piece of bread. That they showed us, you know, not to steal something. It was young people because, you know, wasn't old people, you know, 3 people, men. We have to watch it. And that time the German hit me because I closed my eyes. You don't want me to close my eyes, you know, you have to watch it, you know. And we have to stay there a half a night, watch it. Even when they were, you know, they hanged them already, we have to watch it all night, practically. Then we went to bed for 2-3 hours, and then in the morning again sail up here, we have to go, and they were still hanging there, you know, in the morning. They want us to see it, you know.
As an example.
And then they took us to work.
Did you ever see a woman there who is pregnant?
There was nobody pregnant there. They
No.
couldn't be pregnant.
No.
Because they couldn't sleep with a man, you know.
No, but arriving pregnant.
But they took some women to work for the Germans, you know. To cook and everything, clean their barracks. I was very fortunate because I felt if they take me, I'd rather kill myself.
If they
'Cause
take
I know what-
you for
You know why?
sex.
Because then they have one sex for you, you know. Although I looked in the mirror. We don't have a mirror, but a block blockhältester, they called the woman who was watching over us. There was somebody.
There was a woman guard in your
who
barrack.
watching us, everything. They had a little mirror in her barrack. And I walked by and the first time I saw myself without hair, I got scared myself. I never saw myself. But after, when we were there almost a year, they don't cut off our hair. They grow back, some
It
hair.
grew back.
Yeah. And just before our liberation, a few weeks before, maybe 3-4 weeks before, they selected people to take to the German to work for them. And they want to select me, They want to take me. I said, and I decided, because they want me to go, I will kill myself, but I don't go. I really decided,
Because you thought you knew why they wanted.
That's right. And I said, sisters, my cousins, and I don't think they would care for it. And they let me go, not to go there, and everything. But they don't took nobody anymore because they don't have time. But my cousins was too young, And when we got there to Auschwitz a few weeks after, and they were asking people's age.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked one of these women, Lagerelders, that some of them was a Jewish woman was too, who watched over us. They left them,
The Lager eldeste.
Yeah.
That the oldest.
Right. Who was, looking after us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking and I asked her, I said, my cousins are younger than me. Tell me, what shall I tell, how old they are, because they had to be 18.
Mm-hmm.
She said, she didn't want to tell me. And she was a Jewish woman. I said, I hold down her. I never had done that. I wasn't like that, but I was desperate. I said, you better tell me, because if they get killed, it's going to be on your conscience, Then she don't looked at me, she walked, she said, tell them 18-year-old. And that's what I said. Because then, the next day, they was asking how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I told them they said 18, and they said meters. And then one time, they want to separate us. Take us some different camp, where we were,
Mm-hmm.
And they was going to take 2 of us, and 2 of us living there where we were, a different camp. And I don't care if I go or stay, but I want to stay with them. I made up my mind.
So there were 4 of you.
4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So there was other 4 girls who was also cousins and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to stay together.
Also.
And you know that? We changed names. I became Horowitz Margaret.
You became what?
Horowitz Margaret. Horowitz
Horowitz.
Margaret.
Margot.
And I forgot my cousin was present. And they took my name,
I see. So that you wouldn't be of the same family.
No, I have to, stay there because Clara Fried has to go. They have the names. Who has to go?
Clara Fried had to go. Oh, the names were called, and she
They were calling
answered.
every day our name.
I
You know,
see.
when we were standing in the sail up here every morning, we were standing there, called the names.
They called your name, not your number.
No, the name they called.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to change names because the girl who went away was Horowitz Margaret.
I see.
And because they called her not Margaret, Horowitz Margaret. And my cousin, I forgot what Ava took, whose name,
Uh-huh.
So
You exchanged names.
exchanged name, and they took our name.
Uh-huh.
This way they could go because they called the name and they took them, and here.
Mm-hmm.
And every day they called the name here too. In the morning and the evening they want to count on us if they were there.
Yeah.
And you have to remember not to forget when they called his name,
Yes. This was in Auschwitz.
That wasn't Auschwitz, that was in the camp.
That was in the other camp.
Other camps, yeah.
Yes. Did you ever see children? No.
The children was right away separated at Auschwitz. They were all killed.
Yes.
No.
Were you aware of medical experiments being done?
I have heard.
You did the word.
I've heard, yeah.
Were you aware of any escape attempts?
Well, yes, but they were killed. I don't know anybody who could escape. Maybe it happened, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get news from the world, what was going on anywhere?
No, not in a camp, no.
Did you befriend other girls?
Oh yeah, we made friends. That's all we did, that kept us alive.
Mm-hmm.
We were working, they made up songs.
Songs?
Songs.
Mm-hmm.
Don't zoek die schijmer, hast du gehst zum letzten Weg. You know what that means? Don't say you go to the last trip. Because when we went out, we don't know we come back,
And so that song was sung.
Yeah, we used to sing songs there, they made us songs, don't say you're not going to come back, or something. I forgot all the rest of them. We used to sing everything,
Mm-hmm. Did you sing in the barracks?
Not in the barracks. When we went there, we were dead already, We went there just to go to sleep already.
Mm-hmm.
What else to do? We came back. We had a little bit, you don't take a shower, there was no shower. Once someone, they took us maybe to a shower, to take, someplace. And we don't have a shower a whole week.
Mm-hmm.
We just, like I said, there was a place, a little thing, to open the water, a little sink.
Mm-hmm.
And it was frozen there. And we took off our clothes. And the frozen weather, there was a towel in there. I don't know what, I don't remember how we, wet. So we have lice, everything full of lice, big lices.
Yeah,
and
disease. Did you stay well?
What?
Did you get sick?
But you don't tell. I was sick, cold and everything, but we don't tell.
No.
If you tell, they take you right, they kill you. You know, you don't come back. My legs was here, like that, swollen up.
What was the reason for that, the swelling? Do you know?
Because no vitamin, nothing, the food, what we eat, what kind of food we ate. We had a little bit potatoes, something. Cold was also old, a piece of bread, what green, bread, something. We don't have no warm food, nothing, And the good thing we wear pants, and they give us a uniform later, like stripe, blue and white stripes uniform.
Oh, at first it was
the dress.
clothes.
Then they give us pants,
Was that already in Auschwitz?
After Auschwitz.
After. In Auschwitz you wore
A dress.
any kind of clothes?
Yeah, no, not any kind. We don't have any kind.
I know,
They took away
whatever they
everything.
gave
We
you.
have just one piece of clothes. One panty. No bra, a bra, they took away the bra. We don't have bra. They took away all the bra. You don't have no bra, nothing. Just a little panty and a little skirt or something on top. No, we don't have no change. We couldn't change.
So after you said 3 or 4, how long in Auschwitz? 3 or 4 months?
About, yeah.
So
maybe,
that would,
I think about maybe 3 months, maybe.
what
I think
time
about
of
3.
year?
Well, we went there, let's say, after Passover, it was April, and I think they took us.
In
We
June?
went to it took us to the ghetto, and the ghetto was there maybe 2 months or maybe a little bit longer. I don't remember. Then they took us to Auschwitz,
Yes.
and Auschwitz. I think in June they took us to Auschwitz.
To
I think.
Auschwitz.
In the end of May, maybe or June, I think. Yeah.
So through the summer you were in Auschwitz, more
Yeah.
or less. And then after,
We went to
to
near
Dach-
to Landsberg, it was Dachau concentration
How
camp.
were you transported then?
It was from Dachau by train.
Same.
Train, I think. Train, we couldn't walk from there, Dachau, I think. For Auschwitz by train. But I told you what kind of train, yeah.
The same.
Yeah, but from there we were walking from camp to camp, all over.
After that you walked
We were walking all
from
over, yeah.
one camp
Place
to
to the other one,
another
yeah.
in the Dachau system.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah. Do you remember when you arrived there, what the arrival in Dachau was like? When that was?
It was...
Around your birthday or earlier?
It was before my birthday to arrive there. My birthday is October.
The Jewish holiday time?
The Jew, something, what they did? And the Jewish holidays, they give us worse food. I mean, not worse because it can be the same thing, but...
I'm thinking Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, Rosh Hashanah.
And Yom Kippur.
I forgot what we did, but it was something worse they did it. The holidays was worse, you know, everything. Even the food, even less food or something, you know. Was the holidays, you know, was worse, yeah. All the time. I forgot what we did, I forgot to say what, but something I remember was worse, you know. The holidays, the Jewish holidays.
On fast days.
Baby was fasting all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So you probably, September, you were transferred from Auschwitz to Dachau?
Right. Something like that, yeah, I think.
And
Auschwitz.
do you remember arriving there, or?
Well,
no, it sort of blends in all together.
Everything was the same there, the same barracks, you know.
No, but
they have there some, yeah.
where was it that you dug holes in the ground, or they with the holes?
When we went went away from Auschwitz, then.
Yeah.
All those places there, yeah, yeah. We were in the
There
house.
were no barracks?
No. The last place was barracks, Allah.
Allah had
Because
barracks.
that was the German soldiers used to sleep there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Those barracks, you know, they stayed there. There was a barracks that we don't stay there that long because the American came, you know.
And did you, when you were in Auschwitz, did you work? Was there labor?
I did cleaning outside with a broom. We was cleaning outside, you know, the street and everything inside. Yeah.
Nothing other
There
than...
is nothing else there in Auschwitz.
No, I'm talking about Dachau now.
Oh, Dachau, we used, like I said, we used to go to work, you know. They took, when we went there, they took us out for work, you know. When we
Oh,
left
that
Auschwitz.
was when you were marched.
When we went, we went to work.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there was no work there inside, you know. Some people worked in the kitchen maybe or something, you know.
And by that time, you said you had uniform, pants, striped.
What, a striped pants.
What you
prison
wore.
uniform,
Prison
you know.
uniforms.
Blue and white stripes.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't warm pants, you know.
It wasn't warm.
No, it was like a cotton something, some that kind of material.
And you were there in these camps in Dachau through the winter.
Freezing in Germany, you know.
It was a very cold winter. 44, 45.
There is very cold there, you know. It's ice and snow, big snow all the time. Yeah, I don't know. When I think about it, I don't know how we survived this thing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And outside, we worked outside most of the time. The only time I don't work outside when I worked for the German barracks, soldiers' barracks to be cleaning, you know. That was the best job. Because it was indoors, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe the bullets, putting bullets in boxes.
That was cold. Because
That
there was
was
no
cold?
heat there. No, just like, you know, it's no walls, just a wooden walls, you know, and everything. No, it was freezing there, yeah. And you know, once, sometimes I think meant to be, I stayed alive. I think I told you that. One day, they came, we used to go in the morning and went back in the late afternoon before it got dark, you know, the evening. And one day they blew the whistle in lunchtime. So we had to go back. We walked back to our place, the camp, you know, the camp, concentration camp. And you know what happened? The American bombed the place while we was away.
The
And
Americans,
we used to be there lunchtime all the time, and this time they took us back.
and the Americans bombed it.
Yeah, everything was, if we would stay there, we would be dead, you know, because
What were you doing there at that place that was
that we
bombed?
was packing the ammunition and
The
everything. yeah.
ammunition. So that was
That's
the
why they
target.
bombed it. They know the American, you know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just you can believe it, you know. I escaped the death many times, you know, like that.
Yeah.
I mean, so sometimes I think, meant to be, I should stay alive because, you know, I'm not talking about for the kill. They can kill you every minute there, you know, the German.
Yeah.
for no reason. And the freezing when the sicknesses, illnesses there, people were sick. Every day they took people out, the sick people, because when you're sick, no, you don't tell them if you are able to do that, if you're sick, because they would take you right away.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take you to the hospital or doctors, nothing.
So these several camps you were
Yeah.
moved around in Dachau,
Right.
1, 11.
Right.
That
Born
was for different labor, different
different
kinds
things.
of work.
That's right, different things, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But did you stay together with your cousins?
Always.
That
Always.
was a blessing.
And we all survived.
You all four survived.
That's all from the family. That's all survived, and one of the uncle. And one boy, cousin, no, he died, His sister was with me. So 4 of us, 6 people survived from the whole family.
So the survivors were Eva,
Eva and Susan
Susan,
and Katie,
Katie,
and Ernie.
there was one more girl. Oh, you.
Me. Yeah.
And Ernie.
Yeah. And
Ernie was the uncle.
uncle. And a cousin, the Katie's sister, brother was Mickey.
Mickey.
Miklaus, Mickey.
M
Uncle.
like in mother. Mickey.
Yeah.
Oh, so 5 cousins and an uncle.
That's all survived from the family. The rest of them were all killed.
You said that you experienced once a death march. You were marched, well,
It was all that much there.
It was
all that much. Because when you went out, if you couldn't walk, you would sit down. You understand?
yeah,
It's finished.
yeah,
It was all that much,
yeah.
Or they don't like you. Even if they don't like you. Just, they don't like you. They can.
You had to.
Nobody asks why they kill you. They don't have to have a reason,
No reason, no.
No.
Now, you were in Allach. You said this was that had been a German barracks, so you actually had again a place to sleep, but you knew you were being held there.
We know why we were there.
In Allach. Explain why you were taken to Allach.
They were taken there because it's near to Dachau.
Mm-hmm. Near to what part of Dachau?
Where the crematoriums,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there they killed the people. We were there waiting to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
We know it. Just the American would come about 2 or 3 days later, maybe 2 days, we would be also killed. They don't have space for us because they told us they don't have time to burn the people. They want to kill everybody, but they know the American coming,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to kill everybody before the American came,
They actually told you this?
We heard that. We had, some
Mm-hmm.
sort of so. And, they know the American coming. We know the American coming. When we was walking here, near to Allach,
Mm-hmm.
one German said to us, I think she must have been a pretty nice person, something, said, the Americans is not far from here.
So in this marching around, did you encounter German civilians sometimes? This one?
Not much.
No?
When we walked, there was we were walking places where, no.
You were not walking near any
We never
towns?
talked to the Germans, no.
Do you?
We not mixed with Germans because we were in the camp.
I know. Were you ever observed? Did you see people dressed like civilians ever?
Not much, no. Because, like I said, the places we went to work, there was just soldiers.
And just prisoners?
Yeah, just prisoners, yeah. Mm. We were completely separated from,
Mm-hmm. Now, which army liberated you?
The American. I think they came from Texas, I think.
Tell me.
Because, because they had this heavy accent, And one day, we were waiting. We saw before the Americans came, the Germans, they used to have, in the camp, every corner they built a big place. Watchtower. And there was Germans standing there with the guns, watching us, and then we saw they disappeared before the American came. Then sometimes they came back, and then they don't come back, They run away they know the American coming, they run away. So we were hoping the American coming, And one day we woke up, was maybe about, we don't have a watch, so I don't know what time, nothing. We see, we were starving because we don't have no food, nothing. And we went out. We went out from the barracks, because the Germans ran away, so we went out from the barracks. But we were locked in, And was the barbed wires had electricity, you couldn't go near to it, They left it on. And we see the Americans coming. And something, I still see it in my eyes. I don't have to close my eyes, at all. And that was the happiest moment in my life. They look so beautiful, And they came, and they shut off the electricity, And they opened, but they said we shouldn't go out because Germans hiding all over, So some Americans stayed there to watch us, And then what they did, they don't have food for us. They had potatoes buried outside, the German for themselves, not us. Potato was like, you eat, no, I don't know, the best food or something, So they digged up the potato, they throw it inside for us, And they couldn't cook it, you ate it raw, the potatoes and everything.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
You ate the raw potatoes?
Sure.
Yes. And
but I tell you something, I still always love the American army, even though I support them with all my heart, Because, and then, later on, they give us food, They come other, this was the army who fight, so they had to go after them. And they came, other people, for the American soldiers, they bring us some food, whatever they have, But everything was wonderful that time,
Did you communicate?
I don't know how we did that. We don't speak English, I speak hello, how are you, something, a few words. But I don't know, we were communicating, with them, yeah. And some of them speak a little bit German, some of them.
And you were then in your striped uniform,
oh yeah,
prison clothes.
For a while, I don't know how long, yeah.
What time of year was this?
This was...
It was April, May.
May, I think, was...
It was...
I think end of May or something was, yeah, I think,
well,
yeah.
no, I think probably beginning.
I think it was end of May, I think was, yeah. Right, but we stayed there, for a few months. They kept us there. First of all, everybody was too sick, and...
They kept you in...
We kept inside in the camp. Allah, yeah.
Because that had been a German soldiers' camp.
Yeah, they kept us there, yeah.
That was...
Yeah, they kept us there. They have this... it wasn't comfortable to sleep because because we're sleeping in those things, not much cover, everything, but we stayed there. But we were free, but inside. We couldn't go out. We were told not to go out, the American soldiers, and they still stayed there, some American soldiers, to watch us.
Yeah.
Because they said they're hiding, the German, they were looking for them all over,
Looking for you.
That's right. And then,
Did you get other clothes?
Later we got some clothes. I forgot what kind of clothes. Something, we got
medical attention?
Not right away. They were so busy, the American. They were still war. They were still fighting, But I guess if somebody was very sick, they took them inside here someplace, yeah. very sick people. I wasn't very sick, thank God, you know. I was run down and everything, but look at me how small I am. I must have a good system, you know. I'm in it, you know, to survive. And so they give us food to eat, you know, and some clothes they give later, yeah. And they took us to have a bath, a shower or someplace, you know, something and everything. And we stayed there till a few months.
Really?
I forgot how many months, yeah. Till everybody got stronger and everything. And they took us back to Germany, you know, a place where the American soldiers, not American, the German soldiers used to live there too. It was like, you know, a barracks, soldier barracks. And there we could go out already after that, you know.
Where was that they took you? Was that a displaced persons camp?
Yeah.
It was a camp.
It was, but this was a soldier's barrack was there. They took us, I think. Yeah. And we stayed there, you know, they still have these bunk beds and everything, you know, but, you know, we were free.
Did you have sheets?
We have sheets there, yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time sleeping in sheets?
Well, I guess so. They have some sheets, you know, wasn't like at home, you know, but because, you know, some blanket was there, everything. But everything was good for us. You know, when you're free. And then we stayed there for a while and we was able to go out a little bit, you know, everything, you know. And a few months after we were able to travel too, you know. Yeah. And we stayed there till I went back home, Hungary.
Now, you were still the four of you, the girls together?
We always together.
How about the uncle and the other
he wasn't.
boy cousin?
No,
you
I never
found
saw
them yet.
I never saw them after when they took us to the concentration camp. I never saw them. Till we went back to Hungary. So we stayed in Germany, you know, after when the liberation, I don't know, maybe a year, I don't remember how long exactly, you know. Because you couldn't travel, you know, all over, you know, wasn't safe, everything. And then we went back to Hungary. There was trains.
The four of you together?
Yeah, always together. There was no such a thing to separate us, you know.
Yeah.
And people like us, you know, they were taking back us, you know, the Americans, you know.
They were what?
The Americans, you know, have trains to take us back to Hungary.
They took you on
Right
regular
after, you know, maybe a year after, I don't know how many months, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And we went back to Hungary and went to Budapest. And Budapest didn't look like the same like before because the Russians was there, you know. It wasn't a pleasure place either. And from there we went back to home with a train, you know. I don't know how we did it, I tell you something, no, you know. I don't even know how. Oh, I had a few dollars because my father had a cousin, you know, in America.
Yeah.
And she found out that I was alive.
Through,
a woman.
how do you know how did she find it?
You know, they was posting names, you know, and, you know, they was able to find out from America information to get for the Americans, you know, who stayed alive.
And you had registered.
They know, yeah. And even know the Americans know, you know, if you were alive.
Did you know this cousin's name and address in America?
I don't know her name. I saw her once in my lifetime. I was a little girl. She came home to visit, you know. But I don't know nothing about where she was, nothing, you know, I don't know. But then when I was in Germany, she found out I was alive. And she wrote me a letter. And she sent me a few dollars, you know. So I had a few dollars, you know. And we had a few dollars when we went back to Hungary, you know. So, and we went home with the train. And we went back to Hungary. And we have to walk back. No, somebody found out in Hungary we were back. I don't know how, from the farm, you know. And they came for us, they took us back, you know, with a horse and carriage.
With a horse and carriage?
Yeah. And we got home, and the house, like I said, somebody was living there, a Jewish couple. Living there because they were working there. The factory where they made alcohol, the Russians put it back to, to work, and they hired them to run the factory, and they living in our house, But the windows was broken. They put in some woods, and something, because there was no glass windows, nothing, and the doors was broken, everything. And we went back. There was nothing, no furniture there, nothing. So they have to put down some straw, and somebody find out we were home, who used to work for us, a Jewish couple. They came back from the concentration camp, and they came out and they bring us some food, and he bring us some sheets and some pillows and pillowcases, and other one had a factory, they used to make from the wheat flowers. She bring up some flowers, to make bread, and she brings some food for us, Jewish people, they know they to get it. So we had some food, and we were staying there, in our house.
In your house.
And we stayed there. Then we went back a few months after. We were looking for family, maybe somebody came back.
Did you hear of anybody then?
Nobody. Only my uncle, one uncle, came back after when we came home.
He came to the farm.
That's what I want to go back to Hungary.
Yeah.
Because they used to post the names, in Germany after, the liberation, those who survived. But we don't find nobody's name there. So I felt if somebody survived, they will go back to Hungary. So that's what we'll go back to Hungary. Otherwise, I won't even go back. And my uncle came back, after.
While you were there?
While we were there, yeah.
Describe that.
Yeah, well,
reunion.
I can't tell you what that meant, I thought I get a heart attack. I was so happy, to see him alive, everything. And we stayed there in Hungary. And I was the first one to leave Hungary. I stayed there, I don't know, a year or a year and a half. I don't remember how long, because everything is known. And somebody went back to, and my father's cousin, who wrote to me letters, I wrote to her, she wrote
the
to
one in America.
She said she wants me to come to America, she will send me papers. But from Hungary you couldn't go. They don't let you go out because the Russians,
communists,
they want to stay there. Legally you can't cross the border. You couldn't.
So you were trapped there?
We were trapped there. Then there was a dressmaker who used to make our dresses. We used to go to the dressmaker in Hungary. And her sister didn't come home. She got married in Germany, And she decided she goes back to Germany because her sister there. And they want to go to America too, So she said, Clara, come with me. And maybe 2 or 3 people from there, the village, then. He said, come with us. And we went to Budapest, I think Budapest. A train left from there to go to Austria. Because Austria, the Americans had a place for displaced person like us, they call it,
But was it possible to leave? How did you get away?
Well, we sneaked out. We went, there was a train who left, a train was full of people like me. And they paid off the Russians, The Russians who was driving the train and the soldiers. They don't make much money. So we paid up. We give them money. And they took us, a whole train. They sneaked through the border. But you have to be scared. If they catch you, you would be in trouble,
Yeah.
But luckily
what would happen?
Yeah, so I left, but I left my uncle there and my 3 cousins. Because Ava and her sister also, and the other cousin also came later, They went to Canada,
Yeah, so they got out too eventually.
Later than me. They went to Canada. So, and we got on the train, and I bring some food with me, because the train was no food, And I even give to other people some food. And took a few days, I don't know how long it took, whole night, everything. And we was holding our breath, they shouldn't catch us. So we were happy when we got out from the train, in Austria. We got to Austria. And there, I don't remember what happened. The Americans had some people who was waiting, they know this, we're coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some cars to pick us up.
Mm-hmm.
And they took us to Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a place there, for like us to wait there till we went to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
And they give us food.
A processing.
There we felt safe, the American place, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I made friends there when I got off from the train. And I still friend. I have in New York a friend.
Really?
We became friends, because they were hungry and I had some food. I gave them food and we became friends for, I wasn't worried about it. I have food and I gave them the food,
Mm-hmm.
Finished?
No, we have 10 minutes to wrap it up.
Okay. Okay.
This is all so interesting. I want to ask you, then you came to America with the help of the cousin, your
Yeah.
father's cousin. Right. And just, I'd like to know your feelings.
I tell you what kind of feeling I had.
What are your feelings about being here and about thinking back on that time, and what do you say to
You can't
people?
understand what kind of feeling I had. When we arrived to New York, first of all, we got so sick on the ship, because it wasn't a luxury ship like you go, but a military ship. The Americans sent the ship for us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. When was this that you came to America?
I came 1949,
Okay.
July 15 I arrived.
July
15. That I remember, I never forget.
So that was 5 years after the liberation. Okay.
And 1949, 4 years. Because
4
the liberation
years.
was...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, the ship, we were sick. Everybody throwing off, because when we went on the ship, there was nothing to hold on. It was a big storm. I was afraid the wind blew me down, and we was also like a bunk bed, everything sleeping, everything. But we were happy, but we were sick most of the time in the ship, throwing off. We couldn't eat. And when we arrived to New York.
Do you know the name of this ship?
I forgot.
It's okay. But it was an American...
American ship.
American what? It was a troop ship?
Yeah, a troop ship.
Oh.
That's right. But the soldier ship, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And when they transferred their soldiers.
Yes.
But we were happy, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And when we arrived to New York, the ship started by the Statue of Liberty. And I break down to cry, I can tell you the feeling. I looked it up. Even when I went to New York, we used to go there all the time. I used to visit, the Statue of Liberty. And
a symbol.
Those feeling, to be a free country,
Mm.
It was wonderful.
Do you think that children in this country realize what they have?
No, they can't. Nobody can't. I think the parents should teach their children. I'm teaching my children, my grandchildren to be good citizens. And I tell them all the time, love this country, because this is the best in the world. And I'm worried about that now, the young people, they don't understand, they don't appreciate, not just they don't appreciate it, I'm worried about this country, because this is the only country, the best country, place in the world. I don't care if I have one bakery a day to eat. I'm happy to here. I want to stay here. I won't go to other places if I would be rich. I would be rich or something. I tell all the time to have.
Yes.
And they used to ask me to go to talk to children, and I always told them. After my experiences, I told them all the time, you're so lucky you are here. I love this country, I said. And I tell them another thing. I said, when anything starts here, because it could happen any place, you know, to hatred, everything. I said, you have to stop it right away. Because later it's too late, it's spread. And what do you think who started in Germany? The nobodies. Everybody, nobody. Hitler was a nobody.
Yes.
I mean, he was a house painter or something, but he wasn't a educated man, nothing, And look what he was able to accomplish.
Yes.
And they said, in Germany, the chancellor said to the people who was, in the government, he said it's dangerous because Hitler was born in Austria. And he went there when he took over Austria, went to Germany. And he started to get a position in the government. The chancellor said, this is dangerous, this man. They said he's an idiot. You don't have to worry, and it was too late,
Look at that, yes.
So I tell them.
Do you think it could happen in this country?
Any place can happen, if they let them. Any place can happen. Because here they have people who doesn't want to work, nobody. And if they tell them, I ask you something, don't you think somebody has a beautiful house or you have money and they can have it, do you think they don't want it? Free? In Hungary too. When they took away our home, everything, there was a count, and who was living in his palace? A count, a nobleman, or a baron, was living a person who never worked in his life. He was living in the street practically, nothing. He was there, he was the boss there.
He inherited it.
Yeah, he got it, So you think they don't want it? They have people here like that too, right? Who wants it?
What one lesson do you think we should learn from remembering the Holocaust?
That's what the lesson we should learn. To love each other, taking care of each other. I tell this to everybody. And help each other. And no hatred. Look at me, what I went through. And my family day was destroyed. I left alone in the world.
Yeah. Let's look at this family.
And
yeah.
No more time, okay.
Okay.
Okay, and
okay. This is the second tape of this interview on December 18th, 2007 of Clara Daniels, survivor. Clara, when we left off, you had just arrived in America and you were sponsored by a cousin of your father.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And she sent somebody, she was working in the country because she was a chef, really, on a big hotel. And she sent somebody for me to meet me by the ship.
She didn't come?
No, she didn't come. She sent somebody. And they called my name, I don't know this lady, never met her. And she said she came to pick me up. You have to go through all kind of, they're looking you papers when you arrive. You just don't get up and go right away. And when they said I'm able to, they let me go free. So she picked me up and she took me to the country in the hotel where she was working, this lady.
You know the name of the place?
I forgot now.
Yeah.
And she was working there and I met her, the first time. And when I was there a few days, I was bored and I said, I want to work too. So I started to help out there, And I met with the people, some of the, mostly elderly people in this hotel.
The guests?
Guests there, middle-aged elderly people. And I talked to them, they talked to me. I forgot what kind of language I was talking. Maybe German, I speak everything. Because English, I just know a few words. But I was able to, I don't know, to get around with people.
You were a pretty young girl.
I was
young woman.
And they were very nice. They want to hear my story, everything, And I started to work. They help out in the kitchen, Because I just couldn't stand there to sit there a whole day,
Sure.
So I started. I don't get paid for it, but I got food. So I don't even think about to ask for food. I just want to be busy. So we stayed there till the end of the summer. We came back to New York. And she lived in the east side. I mean, my father's cousin.
East side of Manhattan.
Yeah, where is the Hungarians?
About what level?
Low.
Lower East Side.
I mean, the people was not rich people, poor people. You know.
Right. That's not what I meant. Where in Manhattan was this?
I forgot which one it is. Yeah. Is that Hungarians was living here, I know. And when I arrived, you know, then we came back to New York, you know, she bring me back with her. But she wasn't somebody you could sit down and talk like I can talk to you or something, you know. I think she was alone and she was used to be like that, you know, everything.
She had never married?
She never married. There was a man, like a boyfriend or something, but they worked together, you know, something. She was never married. So she wasn't used to
How old a person was she?
Must be in the, I don't know, maybe 60s or something, or 50s, I don't know. That time was old for me.
Your father's cousin?
Yeah, maybe 50s, I don't remember, you know, late 50s maybe. Because that time, you know, was young, that was old for me, you know. No, they're young.
Yes.
You know, and we came back to New York, and she went away to work, you know, every day. She got a job, and she left me there alone. You know, there was no television,
You were
nothing.
25 then.
Yeah.
I figure.
And, you know, they don't have television that time, nothing. Just, I don't remember she had a radio, maybe not even a radio, because she never had been there, you know, she didn't need it. And I was there alone. Then a few days after, I started to go a little bit for a walk, you know.
She didn't help you to find your way at
absolutely
all?
nothing. So, and I tell you something, what kind of experience I had there. I don't understand. One day I was walking and started to get a little bit dark, you know. It wasn't dark yet because I won't walk in the dark. And looked like somebody passed by me, like my uncle, one of them who died in the concentration camp. I don't know, must have been just my imagination, it was something. But went and I ran after it, this one, and like disappeared in the air, you know. I mean it. Like nothing was there. I don't know, maybe I just imagine. I can understand it can happen, you know, because now I'm thinking get back. And I was there a few weeks, just a few weeks. Then one day, somebody banging on the door. I opened the door. I was happy because nobody knew me there, nothing. So my father's cousin lived in the Bronx.
A different cousin?
A different cousin. She said, she told me what her name and everything. She said she's my father's cousin. And I was here and she came to see me. And she said she's taking me to her house. So I packed up and I went. Whatever I had, I don't have much to pack, you know. And I left before the other cousin came home, you know. And I left a note for her. I told her I'm going, and I never saw her again.
You never saw her?
She never came after me. And I was so unhappy, you know, with her.
Yeah.
The way she treated me.
She didn't understand you.
I was so unhappy, you know, I tell you.
You had lost everybody.
No, I called her a few times, actually, yeah, I talked to her. And then later, she never called me, you know, something, I never. But that was her. With everybody, she bring here other people too from Europe. She meant well, but after she didn't had no connection with them, you know. So I went with this cousin, you know. She was like old enough to be my mother, you know, because she has children my age. And I stayed there maybe 3 weeks in her place. She looked, right away, she looked for a job for me. You understand?
Yeah.
She helped me. That was real help, you know.
Yeah.
She looked for a job for me. And I stayed there, I think, 3 weeks. And then my husband, I met her in Germany, you know.
You met?
My husband in Germany.
Your future husband?
He was my friend's husband, best friend. And he came to America. And he found out where I was, he called me, you know. and he find a place for me closest it where he was. He was living in her with her cousin, you know.
He was living where?
With her cousin. He went. Her cousin bring her here, send papers.
His cousin.
His cousin, yeah. I said he went. His cousin, and he was living there, you know, with them, stayed with them. And the cousin went into to a neighbor, you know, close to the elderly couple, and got me a room there, and I moved there.
I see. What was his name, your husband?
Kerry. They used to call him couple, but Kerry. The American cousins, he had family here.
I see.
And they give him a Kerry name.
So was he from?
Clara Daniels.
He was from Poland.
Poland.
So his name in Poland was Couple.
Yeah.
Coppel.
Right. And his cousin, he had very rich cousin. They give him a name Kerry, you know.
Carey, Cary.
Right. That's all they give him, you know. And I moved there. And you know what I did? When I was working for a while, and I saved up a few dollars, I bought a present for the lady who took me to her house and give me a chance to find me a job, you know. My husband,
one in the Bronx.
my father's cousin, you know.
The one in the Bronx.
I bought a beautiful present for them. I appreciated so much what she did for me. And we were good friends, we were good relationship till she died, you know. They died, you know.
That's great. What kind of work was the first job you found?
My job. You see, I didn't know anything how to work because I never worked in Hungary and I wasn't qualified for nothing. So in a factory, she took me to the factory, she knew the people, and they made clothes there. They sew. I couldn't sew because I don't know how to sew in the machine. And they tear up the cartons, you know, and you have to cut it up, you know. That's what I did. I was cutting out the carton. I think I made, I don't know, $10 or $15 a week, I don't know. But it was enough that, you know, the money was different then, no?
Oh, absolutely.
So I had enough, I paid my rent. I don't remember how much because it was a stinky little room, you know. But it was a very nice elderly couple, you know, and it was across the street where Kerry, my husband, was living. And I met her cousin and they were very nice to me. And they had 2 children, 2 young girls.
His relatives.
Yeah, and they have 2 young girls there and they became my friend, you know. They were younger than me, they were, you know, and they were wonderful, you know. I still have I call them, you know, not sometimes. And I was living there till I got married.
When did you get married?
1951.
1951.
May, I think it was May. Yeah, I forgot the date already, which date.
And what did Carrie do?
Well, he had at home a store. He was selling men clothes, and they were making...
You mean in Poland?
Poland. He had a men clothes here, the store.
Was he much older than you?
I thought, you know, that time, in Hungary they used to say, a man has to be at least 10 years older than a woman. And I never thought about it. I just lately was thinking about why. Because the girls got married very young that time, you know, in Hungary. 18, 19, 20, 22, 25-year-old was an old maid. You know,
that's what you were.
You know, that's that time. You not know, you know, it's different now with the women's liberation. And the men, 18, 19, 20-year-old men didn't make a living. That's what I figured out, you know. Nobody told me. So that's what, about 10 years older. So I thought, you know, a man has to be 10 years older. He was 11 years older. But he looked much younger than, you know. And I thought that was good, right, you know. And he was very nice to me, and he came after me till I said yes, you know. And I gave in and I married him.
So in Poland he had already been a businessman.
Yeah, he has a business, yeah. Yeah. You know, they start very young there. You know, he didn't go to college. You know, that time very few people went to college, you know.
Yeah.
And the family had, I don't know, a bunch of kids there, maybe 8, 9 kids in the family. So, you know, they went to work right away. And he had a store, a business, you know, working. He has somebody work with him. I don't know, 1 or 2 people, I don't remember how many. And then, you know, he lost everything. And he came here, we don't have money, nobody had money when we came.
Did he lose his family?
Everybody, every single one of them. He was the only one alive.
But there was the cousin who had come before the war
They came here before the war.
to New York.
Those who was here in New York, they came before the war.
That was
but
his
he lost
family.
an entire family. Only one nephew stayed alive. He went to Israel, and he died already too. And he had no family, just like me, So that was something, a connection between us two,
Yeah.
And he was the best person in the world. He was the best human being, not just to me, everybody. If he went on the street and somebody put out the hand, always put in some money, everything, and help people all the time, And that's what I liked him, so much. And he was the best husband, the best father, everything. And then I married him, and we rented an apartment. It was very hard to get an apartment that time, and we don't have much money either. His cousin found an apartment, somebody there. It was very hard to find. At top of the store, a 2-bedroom apartment, 20th Avenue, Brooklyn. And we stayed there. I don't know yeah. I had a child there, everything, And I was working, too, till I was 9 months pregnant, because we needed the money. I was afraid sometimes I was in the subway, I was traveling, with so many people, they shouldn't crash me, And some people said to the boss there, it was a Jewish boss, elderly man, they said, you can't let her work here because she can fall down, and you can be trouble. But he said he wanted me to work, as long as I want to let me.
What did you do then at that time?
The same thing, cutting
cotton.
But in between, I had a job. Before I had a job too. The cousin in the Bronx, she had a cousin, lived in Long Island. I forget about this. And she was a school teacher, her husband was an engineer. They had a 7-year-old little girl, and they needed somebody when she comes home from school to be there and clean the house. So I quit my job in the factory at first, and then I think that was maybe the last job I had. Yeah, I forgot already. And I went there. It was a very easy job. It was a nice house, nice neighborhood, and it wasn't dirty. They were never home. They were never early in the morning, come back in the evening, and they, I cooked for them, and I do the cleaning. It wasn't much cleaning because nobody made it dirty. And the little girl, I sit with her when she did her homework, and she loved me. And I loved that little girl, She was such a sweet little girl. So I loved that job, I think, I stayed there till I got married, A little bit before I quit, because I had to get ready,
How did you learn English?
By myself.
You didn't go have...
I couldn't go to school because when I came home, it was late, and I couldn't travel. We had to travel all over. I never went to school. I learned to read too. I got books. At first I got some Hungarian books, then I didn't. I decided, and I start to read. I don't understand every word. Then more and more and more, and I learned to read, Yeah.
You taught yourself. Tell me about your family children, your own children.
My children?
Yeah.
Well,
you have
two.
Yeah.
Well, one is married, live in Maine.
What is his name?
Mark Daniels, and he has 2 children, and he has a wife.
His wife is named... What is his wife's name? I shouldn't have asked.
What happened to me?
And the 2 children?
2 children, Claire, they named that after me, although Jewish people don't really know, but they want to name me after me, and Elliot. But I forgot your name. How do you like that? Name goes out for my name. And Jeffrey has 1 child, and he's divorced.
Your other son,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. And his child's name is?
Joshua.
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 Okay.
He's a wonderful boy, Joshua.
Yes. Now Joshua and Jeffrey live in Richmond.
Yeah.
And
Well, Joshua is away now in school.
Mhm.
So he's not here now.
He's in college
He's
already.
in college, yeah, right.
And what is Mark's profession?
He's an ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist.
Yeah, he's a surgeon.
Mhm. And his children are twins, right?
Twins, a boy and a girl, yeah, right.
Claire
right.
and Elliot.
They're sweet, so nice. My grandmother had twins.
Uh-huh.
Also a boy and a girl,
Also.
And
And what kind of work did you and Carrie do together? I mean, what was your life? What was his livelihood?
At first, he went to work for somebody,
Mhm.
and then saved up a few dollars.
Mhm.
Then he opened a store for himself. We were selling ladies' coats and suits, and made custom-made ladies' clothes, suits and clothes.
You had a tailor working?
Yeah. He learned it here in America, actually, mostly. He did that at home too. He made,
Oh, so he's a tailor as well.
Yeah, he was, And he made ladies' clothes. They used to come, very beautiful clothes. Manhattan used to come from Fifth Avenue, too.
And where was this store?
Who?
Where was your store? This?
In Kings Highway.
Oh, in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yeah, near to us, About 2 blocks he came back from. Then we moved there, Then we bought a house there, We bought a 2-family house. So we had some income, from the house too, It helped.
Very good.
So, and then I helped him. I never sewed before. I just sewed, I used to make handwork, like...
What you learned as a child.
Yeah, right. But I never learned to sew. But I never sewed with my machine. But I used to help him to sew up the bottoms because they made custom-made, you have to buy hand everything. And I was very good. And what I did? Even when I had 2 children, I used to drop them off school when they were old enough. Then I went to the store. And then I went home. I picked them up. I went home to pick, when they finished school, pick them up. On the way, I used to buy food. And I gave them a snack, when they come home. And they changed their clothes, And then I made them supper, And my husband used to bring me home work too. When they went to sleep, I used to sit down, watch TV. We had a TV by that time, And then
You did the handwork.
Yeah, and I used to sit and work then too, I never sat like that. But he worked also, sometimes 6 days, even 7 days sometimes, when when was very busy. But we never complained,
No.
I mean, I hear nowadays they're doing this tired. We were tired too, but we never complained, Then in the evening, I give them a bath, the kids, every night. And they have supper, and after some snack, and I put them to bed. I used to tell them stories, because I remember my grandmother used to tell me stories, And
What stories? The Hungarian?
My grandmother told me stories. I still live by it, I learned something. She was telling me one story. I remember 2 of them. That was villages there, small villages. And there was no hotels there, no no place to stay. And there was a rabbi. A rabbi was a poor rabbi too, and had a bunch of kids in a small house. And people used to work in Hungary sometimes for business. Not a rich people, poor people, some kind of business or something they used to work. And they don't have no place to sleep. So they went to the rabbi's house. And Friday evening, if they arrived, they had a small chicken on the table because he had a lot of money. And he has a few kids too. They put it on the table, and they put these people who came there at the table, have supper. And end of the evening, the chicken was still on the table. Nobody touched it. You know why? My grandmother said because they was afraid to eat one. They don't have enough for everybody. So nobody ate.
Nobody ate.
So she told me, if you have guests, you put a lot of food on the table. because otherwise the people are afraid to eat, you know, because you're afraid that the other one doesn't have it.
Doesn't.
So I learned that. I always, in my house too in Hungary, they cooked a lot, you know, on the farm. And people used to arrive Friday evening sometimes. We don't know they coming.
The bocha, the
Yeah, and other people sometimes too, you know. So they just put them, we had a big table, we had a big house, you know, a big table, they put that out more. And they sit down, they have supper, they have plenty of food, everybody. So I learned that, you know, things like that. You learn. That kind of stories my grandmother told me. And we were in Germany with my friend, we was going someplace sometimes, I don't know. And she had a friend, we stepped by. And she made some coffee for us. And we was about 4 or 5, maybe 5 people or 6. And she put 2 or 3 little pieces of cake on the table. And we don't eat that either, because it wasn't enough, you know, and I don't want to eat it because I figured the other one doesn't have it. So I learned this kind of thing, my grandmother told me, all kind of stories she told me, you know.
And this is what you passed on to
right, their children too, you know.
your children.
Yeah, I mean, my grandmother was telling the stories. I learned a lot from her, you know. I used to go to the bed with her, you know, climbing and telling me stories. So I did with my children the same thing, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
When did you begin telling your children about your past?
I don't tell them till lately.
Till lately?
Because about the concentration camp?
Yes.
Not till they were grown up.
Not until they were grown up.
You know why I don't
Do you
tell them?
remember when you began the first time?
I don't remember, but then they start to show in the television to something, you know, everything I start to tell them. I don't want to tell them when they were very young, because I was afraid that they'd be scared.
Did you tell them about your family?
I told them later, yeah.
Later?
Yeah, I told them I had a family, everything, but
Did they ever ask?
no.
No? They didn't ask about...
I told them, you know, something, but they were old enough. I don't want them when they were very young to know about the concentration camp, you know, because I was afraid they'd be scared. Can happen to them, you know. You know, young kids, they don't know, you know. But later I was telling them, you know. But we don't talk about it.
Did they ever ask you, where are grandparents?
But they know, because I told them no.
Now they know.
They know, but, well, I told them they died at first, you know. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, they don't have, you know. So that's what Jeffrey and Mark, like when I spent time with their children, you know. Especially Jeffrey, because Joshua was here. That's why we moved down here, you know, because Joshua.
Yes, because Jeffrey divorced and Joshua.
Yeah, right. And we moved down here because he has a place to come, you know, and he should know and Jeffrey wanted to spend Joshua a lot of time with me. He was sleeping in my place a lot of time, you know, even after they divorced, you know. And because they don't know the grandparents, and they miss that, you know. So Joshua spent a lot of time with me, you know.
I know.
And we're very close, you know.
Yes. When did you begin to talk about the war years?
With people?
Yes, with anyone.
Well, they asked me, you know, after when I came, you know.
In Richmond?
Richmond, yeah.
When did you move?
Or New York I went sometimes too, but it's Richmond too here.
In New York you began?
They asked me, you know, for the Jewish organization, they asked me, you know.
To
They know. Yeah, they asked me, you know. They asked me to go, you know, and they arranged it for me to go, which school to go, you know.
And you did tell your experiences?
I did, and I have a lot of letters. I have to put them together, you know, and they thanking me, the children, you know.
Yes.
And they said they don't know nothing about it, and they thanked me, you know.
When did you move to Richmond?
Richmond, we moved, I tell you when Joshua was born, to move here, we bought this house 1975, when they started to build it. So we moved on about maybe 2 years later.
So 1977.
Yeah, I think so, something like
and
that.
And you
or
were
maybe
already talking in New York.
Yeah, but we bought the place before, you know. We
Right.
just moved in, And I asked Jeffrey that time, because he was divorced, he should move in there, you know. Because it was empty, the place, you know. But we come down, we used to come down all the time, you know. We used to come back and
To
forth. We
visit.
used to, yeah.
But you moved permanently
Yeah,
in 1977.
right, something like that, yeah.
That's 30 years ago.
How much?
30 years?
Not 70 to Richmond.
No, that's what I wanted to know.
No. Richmond, we moved 90, about, let me see, we bought 90, my house is about 95, I think we bought the house. But 90, it's 50, about 15 year old, I think, getting the house, I think, 15. And we moved on 2 years later, you know, when we bought 1995, I think, maybe. 1995, I think we bought the place. They started to build it there.
Yeah.
And we moved on about 2 years later.
So 1997 maybe. I'm glad we got that straight.
Yeah, because, no, that's right, I missed them up. 1995. No, it's 2007 now, so.
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago, yeah, we bought the place. Yeah.
Okay. Clara, do you still have nightmares when you think about these times?
No.
Does it rob you of sleep?
It does, because I'm thinking about it, but I don't have no nightmares. No, I used to have it, you know, a lot, you know, and think about it, you know, everything. And I don't dream about the family, nothing, no.
And that's good.
But every day I think about it, you know. Especially when I'm alone, you know. Always just comes like that, you know, hit, you know.
And then what comes? What do you think?
I'm thinking about it. I just have to live with it. Then I'm thinking about another thing. If I'm thinking about this, there is maybe another world after we're gone, you know. And I'm thinking about if I will meet them, you know, meet them.
If you will meet them.
Yeah, maybe I will someday, you know, a little bit hope, you know. There, maybe I will see them, you know.
Why don't we look at them now? Let's look at the pictures, okay?
Okay.
There's a pointer there.
There's a pointer, yes.
Yeah.
Here, I'll help you step down. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you take this pointer,
Yeah.
would you point to the people
Yeah.
and tell us,
Yeah.
first show us who you are in the picture.
That's me, this big girl.
That's you.
Yeah.
And you're about how old?
I was 4 years old. I know why, because my aunt was pregnant with Ava, my cousin Ava, you know. She was pregnant here, you
So
know.
if you were 4, that was 1927.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Who are
Right.
the other people in the picture?
Here, this is my mother's sister. And this is her husband,
These are the parents of your cousin.
Ava, cousin Ava. Yeah, right. And this is my grandmother and grandfather. And this is my mother's younger sister. And this is my mother's brother,
Which one?
the younger one, Ernie. And this is,
Ernie, the one who survived.
that's right, and this is Eugene, you know, yeah.
And it was Eugene.
Right, right.
That.
And this is the same.
And are these this is Eva's parents?
Ava's parents.
Your
yeah.
other girl cousins.
Yeah.
Are their parents on?
I don't have any pictures on them.
No, their mothers and fathers are not there.
No, nobody here, no. Just, yeah.
Did they have just the one child, Eva?
They had 2 more. Has another girl, she's still living in Florida,
Oh, she
Israel.
survived.
Israel. And has a little brother, he was killed. Eva had a brother and a sister.
And the sister's name was?
Susan,
Susan. Okay, so
Yeah.
Susan was their daughter too.
their daughter, yeah.
And who,
was a little boy
Katie?
died, yeah.
Or Katie's parents.
They died. They all died in the
Are
concentration
they
camp.
in the picture?
No, they're not here. No.
So in that picture, the only people who
There's
your
alive, no me.
grandparents survived
I'm the only alive now.
alive now, yeah.
Yeah, right.
The grandparents died before the
They
Holocaust.
died before just the concentration.
1941,
Right,
your grandfather.
Right.
No, you have to stand to the
I
side.
see. Oh,
and,
I see. And this is this the same person like here, this and this, you know.
Oh, that's Ernie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other brother, you know, Eugene, he died in the concentration camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here also Eugene, and my little brother, this is my little brother, you know.
It's Joseph.
Joseph, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Ernie,
What a...
uncle. And that's my father. And he was a military, you know.
He was in the Hungarian military?
Right, yes.
Handsome man.
Yeah,
And-
and that's me.
At 4. And what is this picture?
Oh, this picture, after when we were liberated from the concentration camp, but we still was in the camp. You see the wire here, this wire?
That's in Allach.
All. But when this happened, there was no electricity anymore.
Use the pointer. Mm-hmm.
And
So-
that's me, and this I don't remember, there was a girl there, I forgot who is it. He was sitting there, you know. And an American soldier took this picture.
American soldier and gave you the picture.
Yeah, he took it, yeah. Right, yeah.
And tell about these papers on the bottom. Just
This one?
point. Yeah. What is that?
I have to read it, I don't
The
know.
Declaration of Intention.
Oh, this is the paper when we got, you know, to America. They give us this, you know. That's not a citizenship paper, I think. Is it?
It's not your citizenship
No.
paper.
No. This is when we are here a few months for a while. They give us papers. They take fingerprint you, everything, you know, for a while, and they take pictures for you. They give you this paper.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be here 5 years before we go U.S. citizen, you know.
And you became citizen.
Right, and they give this us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you go through all kind of things. They talking to you, you know, the FBI, CIA, everybody, you know.
Yes,
they can.
you have to. Let's continue here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have remembered your family that was lost in the Holocaust.
Yes.
Where do you have them, their names?
The name's only one place, in
Yeah.
the cemetery.
Yeah.
You know, the Holocaust
Here.
cemetery. They have all of their name there, yeah.
I think the names that you placed, I know this, on that monument at Emigration
Yeah.
Holocaust Memorial.
Right.
This is the longest list of all the names.
Yeah.
You have the Frieds, you have
I put on Perlstein.
Perlsteins, you have Daniels. No, I don't
Just
think.
my husband. No, my husband is not on. He was
No,
alive.
he's not there.
No,
Just
he don't die. No, Daniels is not there. No.
your family.
My family.
Your family that
So,
perished.
and I put on even my grandfather's brother and his wife and his 2 children, because nobody left from their family. Everybody died, you know. So I figured I want to put on, because just like, if you don't put on, just like they never been here, you know.
Right. So, do you have any idea how many were lost in the Holocaust? How many were murdered?
A lot. And his family, I don't, you know, we don't have close connection, something, you know.
Yeah.
My father's family died, you know, all of them, all died.
Mm-hmm. How do you explain to children what happened when you talk?
It's very hard to explain. It's very hard to explain to them, because there's no reason for this.
They may ask you, why did they do this to the Jews?
Why did they do it? I tell them.
What do you tell
Because
them?
Hitler was a nobody, and he wanted to get in power. He wanted to take away Jewish properties, you know. There was no reason. The Jews didn't do nothing wrong. You know, in Hungary too, they were hard-working people. Every Jew worked harder than the Christians, I tell you something, in a way. Because, like I said, a store was Jewish stores. And then they were jealous because the Jewish worked hard at a store, you know. They made some money, you know. Mm-hmm. They worked early in the morning, late in the evening, you know, everything. They don't want to do it. But then, when they had Jews as a store or something, then they want to take it away, you know. Jewish money. They took from the bank all the money out. They took your houses away, everything, you know, everything.
Mm-hmm.
They did it for that, you know. And like I said, most of the nobodies. Because in the end, they even took away, you know, for the Christians, the rich one, you know, something, you know. They got it back after, you know, when the Russians went out, you know, whatever they could, you know. But a lot of Christians, barons and aunts and all rich people, you know, they took it away, you know. And they want to take it. And I'm telling you, they would do it here too if they can do it if somebody, because even if you have a house, you work for it hard, right? Mm-hmm. And some nobody who doesn't work or has nothing, mm-hmm. if they said, I throw her out and I kill her, they take you, and they will take you home.
We have to have wise laws to protect people, and we have to...
They have to have laws, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if somebody starts something like that, stop it right away. Right away, stop it, not to let them, you know. But under Hitler, you know, that's why Hitler grew and came to power, because he gave all these nobodies, you know. And then they grow, and that's all. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody, even let's say if somebody would want to help, they were afraid to help. Very few people, you know, mm-hmm. help, you know, because then they would be in trouble too, everything.
Of course. Do you have any last memory that you want to share from?
Well, I have my last memory when I saw my family last time.
Where was that?
In Auschwitz, you know.
When you arrived.
And I saw them, you know, and they were separated. They were here, this side, they were that side, you know. And I remember my brother wanted to run after us, you know. And I said to go back because I was afraid they were going to kill him, you know. That's when I saw them. And then we never saw them anymore. That's the memory I have, you know.
To appreciate family.
Nobody more than I do, you know, because... And I tell everybody, you know, to love your family, your children, everything, and take care of each other. Because that's the most precious thing, family, you know. Good friends too, everything, you know, everything. But your family, you know, nobody can replace that, you know.
No. Well, Clara, you've been wonderful to share this with us.
Well, I don't know how good I was today, because
the second time you...
I don't slept last night, you know.
No?
Much.
In anticipation of this?
Yeah. Because, yeah. And lately, like I said, you know, and I was sick for a few weeks, that too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all this medication I was taking, I'm still taking it. It's not that much anymore, you know, everything. And all the time I'm thinking more and more about the family, you know.
Mm-hmm. I know you've told me.
More and more I'm alone, you know, when I spend time myself, you know.
Yes.
That's what they want me to go to Florida, mm-hmm. you know, the boys.
Well, even here in your spare time, you work, you go to the center, you help with the food bank.
I like to help, even more if I can, you know, I want to help,
yeah.
because at least something, you know, you do. It's better
mm-hmm.
than nothing.
And you're helping someone else.
Well, I like to help, you know, because...
Explain what that is, and then we'll end. What is it you do at the...
We selling food.
Mm-hmm. Where does the food come from?
You crops, they're giving it to us, most
this
of them.
This is left over.
Some of them will pay for it, but a lot of them, they don't pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
No, we sell it very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the fourth of the price what's in the store.
Mm-hmm. And what is it, produce?
Produce, and sometimes you have bread, cake, all kind of stuff, you know,
mm-hmm.
and oil and all kind of stuff, you know, whatever they give us.
Uh-huh.
We're selling it, and the money, Annabelle, you know, is there. She's taking care
mm-hmm.
of the money.
And you work for her?
We're working for her, yeah. And then she gave it to charity, different charities, you know, to poor people, it goes the money. The food left over, what we don't sell, also they coming in for different places, you know, and they give it for the poor, you know.
And who comes and buys this food?
A lot of people who comes to the JCC, you know, comes in.
I see.
And they tell their friends or something, they coming to buy the food.
I see poor people coming there. They know.
Yeah, and we don't charge a lot of people, nothing, just give it to them, They just sign their name, that's how they work there. So they give it them. So that's good because people who can't afford it, you know how expensive the food nowadays,
Sure. It's a wonderful service.
Actually, we're not supposed to charge any money. Just a donation they have to give. They call it
I
a
see.
donation, So, because that's why they give you crops and they give the price, Costco, they bring in, cookies, everything, box of cookies and everything, And it's good, very good, because fresh and everything, and vegetable, stuff like that, meat sometimes, meat,
So,
fish.
at the age of what did we decide? You're 84.
Yeah.
You continue to do something good for other people as much as you can.
But that makes me happy if I can do.
Yeah.
You know something, Inga? I don't like to take nothing for nobody. That's my nature. I was like that. Let me tell you a story when I was a little girl. I was visiting Ava's mother somewhere because my mother's sisters used to take me to their place. They want to have spend some time with them, And I was there. Somebody came from America, or relative. And she wanted to give me a doll, and I don't want to take it. I was so, I don't know, I don't like to take nothing from nobody. I want to have the doll, and I don't took it. Because I just, for nothing, I don't want to take nothing. That's the way I was. And I'm still like that. I like to give, not to take, So it makes me happy when I can do something for somebody. Even when I bake a piece of brownie, I give to my neighbors too, and they said, oh, I like that, everything. Makes me happy. Because you know how I feel, life is very short. Even when you can give just a few seconds somebody pleasure, don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Life is short, It's if you eat a piece of something or anything, but or you take somebody out to the movie or something, anything, or you can help out. But if they're sick with something,
Or influence.
That makes me happy if I can do that,
Yeah. Well, you're a bright light and you're wonderful. Thank you
I
so
learned
much.
from my mother, She always used to help the poor. When we lived in Hungary, used to come on by people, sometimes walking, from village to village. And then they used to give them food, not just to eat. They used to send them back with the horse and buggy, They give them flour, they give them chickens and geese because grow in the farm. And all kind of stuff, And fat, they used to have a lot of fat hungry, geese fat. They used to stuff the geese, And they called it taperto, they took off the skin and cooked it, and it was delicious, the fat went out of it. And they used to give them even fat, to use, because they used to fat, a lot of fat. Nowadays, we know it's not too healthy,
Right.
But they used to cook in the house, swimmed in fat, a lot of food,
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe they don't live so long, but they enjoy that, I can't eat that with my stomach, And they baked and they give them bread, and challah for Saturday and everything, and cakes and everything. And they send them back, because they can carry us, home. Then they used to come to us, And I learned that at home,
Well, that's where it comes from. And you're still teaching. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. And this thing has
No, we just sit quiet.
Okay.
Yeah. Many thanks.
Okay. So I think it's a pleasure if you can help me.
Yeah.
Oh.